That's okay. I won't tell anybody.
Well, it's
Chat. We were just talking about vaguely about how Dune is like barely a movie, but
yeah. Chad
um,
isn't allowed to
I
hear, I
feel like
guess.
that's mean because I thought that movie was really cool. I like while I was watching it, there were so many things about it that I thought were cool. Of course, like the soundtrack is great, the visuals are amazing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
got a really cool style to it. This world seems really cool, so much so that I'm probably gonna like because I have Dune like I've got the book and I've got the ebook, so I'm probably gonna like read it now.
Oh, okay.
Um, just because I wanna go to the source. Um, I mean, I thought the world was really cool. I guess it's just as a film, man, like two and a
So
half hours
yeah,
to get to
it's
the first break. That's what it seemed to me by the time we got to the end. That like the plot that we are watching here I get the impression that if I picked up the book and read it, that the point that we have reached is where the story begins.
yeah.
Because, like, we don't really have. I feel like Dune. It tests the whole thing of the standards like, well, it is a story, there are things happening and there are characters, and it's like, yeah, but, like, it's pretty clear that whatever the plot is of Dune, we've only just started it.
Yeah, we
That
just set
all
up
this.
everything and now the movie
Exactly.
is over. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like essentially that them all the stuff getting blown up and that is probably in the book that is like what kicks it off, whereas in the film that's like halfway through it.
Yeah.
The film is already about halfway finished by the time that happens, and so it's like, oh, and then by the time you reach the end it's like, man. So like we get glimpses of I think what Paul's arc is going to be in the subsequent film, but like that wasn't here. We didn't see it here because this is all just setting it up. And that's probably, and I guess that's the awkward part is whether or not I think Dune, the movie, is good, is going to hinge pretty much entirely on that second film.
Yeah, I was about to say that because I'm
Um,
I'm probably gonna check out the second one as well because I have no idea about Dune. Like I know shit all about it, so I'm just
yeah,
interested to
neither
see
do I.
how it turns out.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
same here. I'm not familiar with it. I managed to avoid, despite the fact that this film came out what like 3 months later in Australia than it did everywhere
yeah,
else.
yeah,
I managed to avoid a lot. So for me, it was a whole new experience. And it was really cool watching it in theaters. Like it's a visual treat. It sounds great.
oh yeah, I bet
Um,
the game, the movie looked fantastic,
it did look
and they
excellent.
really
The
wanted to
art
show you
direction.
because I felt sometimes they just linger too long on some shots. Like yeah, it looks nice. Thank you. Can we yeah, okay,
Yeah,
thank you. Can we move along, please?
it it does look really nice. But I will say there are aspects of like even the plot though where I was thinking because the part that immediately stands out to me is so you're like in charge of this big important house, part of this galaxy, but like you personally are gonna fly out there and potentially get eaten by one of those sandworms. Nah, there's no way. There's no way you're and I guess maybe the whole point is like, see, he's kind of like a leader who actually cares about people. But like, man, you're putting a lot at risk here just to save some people who are doing
Yeah.
some mining. Um, and then of course, I guess there's the question of. So I know you've got the shields, which I guess is the reason why you don't use bullets. Like I guess bullets aren't effective with the shield, so you need to use
Mm.
your knives and stuff. But surely like ballistic weapon, not ballistic. Surely missiles and explosions are still gonna kill you. Like
They're
even
still
if you
gonna
have the shield.
fling you around. Full stop. They fling you around.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Like
I guess
physics
that's
are
what I
still
mean.
a
Is
thing in
like
this universe, I think. So if you get hit by an
exactly.
explosive,
So
you just get concussed at least. I don't know how strong these
that
shields
was
are supposed to be.
well that's where I start to get. I wonder. It's like so. I guess there's no way to detect if ships are coming into orbit. Like that's not possible. Was anybody on lookout?
Hmm.
Like aware of these things happening? And if not, then I guess I wonder how wars play out. Like these bombs are really good at blowing up the ships. Why don't you just use them on the people on the ground instead of sending people in to do fights in close quarters?
Yeah.
I
It's
don't understand why you would fight a war like that.
it's funny you mentioned the shields because I remember when I did my stream about it, there was like a whole discussion about the shields in chat that I wasn't even taking part in. That
Right.
was
Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's cool as a world. I guess I just wonder why you would. I still feel, and also like I guess we're meant to assume that like Josh Brolin's character is he still alive or what?
Maybe, I don't know.
I've got to assume that he is. We didn't see him die, so
Okay, okay.
I've got to presume that he is still alive. But like, man, we got nothing. Oh, but it's 12 Angry Men though.
Yeah, just pretend that other intro never happened. So, hello to the show. Hello, here I am with sound this time. I'm just gonna cut out the other bit on YouTube, so you will never see that. So everything
Right,
went
you'll
fine.
never know.
Did it first time. We just did some bands about Dune, and now we're talking about 12 Angry Men today. And as you can see, I'm obviously not on my own because we've been already talking for like 10 minutes. Yeah, Fringy's here. How you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing a-okay. I'm still
That's
tired, but that's okay. I'll, it'll. I'm sure that'll improve
yeah.
as time progresses.
So you're not aware. We're actually doing something before we go to 12 Angry Men.
Oh, are we?
Because I had a little bit of fun. I went out of my way and watched some of your earlier videos.
Yeah.
That was a fun little experience for me because I thought I was listening to someone completely different.
Yeah, probably. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, it was fun. Like I was curious. I was like, man, I'm just gonna ask some stuff about this because I found it really interesting. Because
Oh
I saw
boy.
that I think still your most popular video is debunking the fake negatives of PC gaming, which
Is
was
that?
seven
I
years
see
ago.
that.
It's like, geez,
Really?
yeah, it was 7 years
Man,
ago. Uh,
fucking hell.
yeah, it was fun to watch because I thought I was listening to someone completely different. You sound different, you talk different, uh,
Yeah, it's
and
probably way worse.
and
That's that.
it's not only like the microphone, just like the way you way you
Also,
talk. It was
yeah,
much more
that's
like more profanity, like, and
I'm sure there was.
it was all gameplay. Not gameplay.
Yeah, that
was all gaming content. Like I don't think I've seen a single movie piece of content at some point. So I was just curious, how did that happen? Like, you did all the
oh,
gaming
what
stuff,
like
and then later,
like transitioning onto movies.
yeah,
I
yeah,
get. I
because
mean, because I
you said like 7 years ago, and then you did like a fuck ton of content. Like, it was a lot of content, and then at some point
I
you
did a
slowed
lot
down.
more.
So yeah,
The reason why I slowed down is because it's because I take a lot longer to make it
yeah,
now.
obviously,
In part because I want it to be better, which means spending a long time, but also because I think I was more productive back then.
mm.
I feel like that's just hardcore Dunning Kruger in action. You start out and you're super confident, and then because you're confident, you can just push yourself to keep making it because you think it's all good. And then as you start to learn a little bit more about how you know how it works, your confidence just tanks, and then you have to like start building it back up from there.
Hmm.
I mean, basically, I think the reason why I'm not sure why. I think it was specifically because I always liked movies. But even now, I would still say it's like video games. It's like, oh, that's good shit. I really like video games. I like what they are. I like that there's the fusion of story and gameplay,
Mm.
and all of the different variety of things that you can do in video games. I really like video games. I think they're cool, but I think the transition onto movies as well was just motivated by the fact that more conversations about movies, and it probably was just like linking up with Mauler, you,
Mm.
and because I knew Rags before I met Mauler.
I
That was
it's
yeah, that was when we were talking about like PC gaming, console, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's funny because I think one of your earlier longer videos was about Destiny 2. I think I watched that one, and
Yeah,
and
so
and I saw
yeah,
Rags in the video saying, I know those people.
yeah, we played that because I wanted to do a co-op run and then do it solo for part of the review. So we played that game together on co-op, and it was a really painful experience for both of us.
Yeah, I remember the
It was not.
story was fucking shit.
It sucks. I
Yeah.
really don't like Destiny 2. I really don't. I
Yeah, the
really,
only
really,
reason
really
I
don't
kept
like it.
playing it is because I played with a monk a bunch and online
Hmm.
on stream. But at some point, it's like the grind gets so tedious. Like, oh, I did all my
Yep.
weekly stuff, and tomorrow I'm gonna get my one orb, and then I'm gonna go do something else, I guess. Because
Yeah.
I never even
That.
played those raids or whatever because I couldn't be arsed to find people to play with because you needed 5 people or 4 people or how many people you needed for that. I found it
Yeah, I
really
didn't. I didn't
annoying.
play the raid. That was the one part of the game that I didn't factor into the review because I couldn't couldn't figure out like how to get that many people, and also I didn't want to. I didn't want to put in the effort of doing that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, no, I think it was just movies just came about naturally just from like ending up having these conversations about movies.
yeah. But also
Um,
in
and I mean,
general, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say that I mean, in terms of like my what I'm plan on continuing to talk about, it's probably just games and like movies and TV shows.
Mm.
Games is still like that's just a part of it, and it will continue to be just because I really really like video games.
Yeah. So because I noticed like I think like about 4 years ago I saw like there's less content, but then you get like longer content. I thought you started like cherry picking the topics you liked and then put some more
Yeah,
work in it
I was
and
more
just made like
selective.
30-40 minute videos.
Yeah, I think it was just a matter of being more selective about that there wasn't a need or an interest in talking about like everything as soon as it came up.
Yeah.
I think that was, and I guess also it was because that was around the time that you just started noticing that people were doing more like long form reviews and things like that, and I just really liked it. I liked the idea of talking about stuff more in depth, trying to get more thorough. Though admittedly, the interest at this point has kind of shifted more towards like some sort of like if ever there's a something that I want to talk about in terms of like a game or a movie, I think the interest is more, is there a core point that you can extract from this, and like can you talk about something beyond just what it is. So like for instance
Mm.
with 12 Angry Men, the whole point of that video was there's a lot more that you could talk about with that film in terms of what
Oh
it
yeah.
has to say about like criminal justice, biases of people, how history like informs your conduct, things like that.
Mm.
There is a lot that you can talk about, but specifically what I wanted to talk about with the film was character writing. That was like the interest. How do you take, these people who are stuck in this one room, you don't even know their names, the only stuff that you can learn from them is what they talk about here in this room, and it's like
Yeah.
that's a really good foundation to just talk about like great character writing. And it was, Crash Bandicoot, the specific thing was how hard is it, like what does it mean for a game to be hard,
Mm.
how is a platformer made difficult, what are the things that you notice and that you don't notice about the way that a game is designed that it creates difficulty. And I guess Endgame's different. That is just me saying that I think that movie sucks. But
Yeah.
there is a broader point even there, and it's like I think that's I like that approach. I like the idea of being able to I like finding some sort of greater point that you can pull. I mean, in the same way that basically most stories have some sort of greater point beyond just what's happening.
Yeah. So we all,
That's been fun little.
so basically we're always into the whole storytelling thingy, or whether like was there a
Um,
point where you realized like, man, this whole writing stuff is really cool. I want to look deeper into that.
So I remember because when I was a kid, I remember I wanted to be a director. I don't think I ever really wanted to be a director. Like I think because as an adult, you tell me what the job is of director. It's like, man, that is not. I no, I can't, and I
Yeah,
don't
it's.
want to.
I think it's one of those things you see. It's like, oh, this could be really cool, and then you look into it. It's like, oh, I need to do this, 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 and there's a lot of stress. Like, nah, I think I'll do something else.
Yeah, it's like holy shit, that feels like a really stressful job. That I would not want to do. But I mean, in terms of storytelling, that was always. I think when I was a kid, I remember I distinctly remember this, and it baffled me when I was a kid. When you had English, you'd in primary school, you'd generally over the course of the year, you'd hit on like broad English subjects. So there'd be like exposition, I think is what they called it,
Okay.
which was specific like persuasive essays essentially. Like, oh, make this point, and then and then present it in this way, and then poetry and stuff like that. And I remember narrative was the one that I always enjoyed the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember other people didn't, and I always found that really weird because, like, man, you're writing your own stories. That's cool. So basically, ever since I was a kid, I really, really, really like storytelling.
Yeah.
Even if you asked me then, I probably wouldn't have been able to articulate that because I was a kid. And then like much later on, because I remember I did some comics as well when I was a kid, and then much later on, in big old adult times,
Yeah.
it's probably I think it was 2015. That was when I was like, man, I'd like to write a book. And then I started doing that, and it was shit. But I think, and then I stopped for a bit. But even
Yeah.
then, I think that was the point where it was like, oh right, that's like my interest. And then as you start to think about it more, you start to figure out, oh, it's specifically like writing. That's like that's the part that's really cool and interesting to me, writing.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and then I think at that point you just realize, oh, the broad interest is seemingly, telling stories, and I think that explains your gravitation towards certain types of video games as well. Like
Yeah.
why did you like Deus Ex? It's like, well, part of it is that it is like a really cool interactive experience in terms of exploring and engaging with systems and combat and stealth and things like that. But a lot of the interest as well is just like, how do you tell a story in this environment? How do you convey story through conversations that you overhear? Items that you find around the world that give you
Mm.
information. It's just, yeah, I like the idea. I just really like storytelling.
Yeah. That's funny because I was like the opposite as a kid. Like I was very much
Yeah,
in the crowd of, oh, I'm gonna go watch a movie and I'm gonna look at all the nice colors. Like, yay, explosions. Like, oh, that was a funny one-liner. And then you leave the cinema.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, that was great. Now I'm gonna go back to my PC and play games with my friends. And like I like there was probably no movie I saw as a kid. It was like that was bad. Like it was like, yeah, I saw a movie that happened. Back home, play video games, eat
Right.
chips. It's
Um.
like that all
Yeah.
only happened like in the last couple of years when I met mutually and started talking with him, and obviously at
And
some
then it
point that all
ignited
came
more of
up
an
and it's like,
interest.
oh wait, why is that bad? And then just pointed out to me, it's like, oh yeah, that's actually really shit. It's like ruining
Well,
my
so
childhood.
that's the funny thing is I distinctly remember back in the early days that I made a video, and I think specifically I think it was called What You Like versus What Is Good.
Yeah.
Um
Okay.
and that was a video where essentially in far less articulate terms I essentially tried to delineate that there was a difference between, oh, I like that, and no, actually, that's good. And frankly, I think everybody fucking agrees with this to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that. I would legitimately believe that I was talking to somebody who was arguing in bad faith if I presented to them, like, if I presented Citizen Kane and then I presented The Room, and you're like, are you seriously telling me that you could that it is entirely bullshit? That if I said that like the former is good and that the latter is dog shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, you see it when people say stuff like, I didn't like it, but I recognize that it's good." It's like, yeah. So I think we all recognize that there is something here that is working. And I think a lot of the process over the last few years has just been, wait, I want to think about that a little bit more thoroughly. Like, what exactly am I honing in on that I enjoy here?
Yeah.
Why is it that certain things generally have a more positive reception compared to other things generally? And trying to figure out if some there is some kind of way of more readily and consistently identifying what I think works and doesn't work in stories. And I mean, on some level, it is like all, because we're human beings. It's perception of reality and things like that. Like objective. I don't use objective to describe this process. I don't think I
Mm.
maybe I did before, but I wouldn't, because I don't think that that's I don't think that that identifies it, and of course, it kind of muddies the conversation. I think the process that I'm interested in right now is there some kind of system that I can develop for myself through conversations with other people like you, Mauler, Rags, um, that allows me to more consistently figure out what it is in stories that I like, and also can I apply that to the stuff that I want to make so that I can
Yeah.
consistently hit some sort of mark when it comes to writing stories. I think that's if I was to say that there's some broad goal that I'm going for right now with everything that I'm doing, that's probably what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds good. Sounds good.
Why
Yeah,
do I
it's
picture Fringy on a couch and Metal taking notes like a psychiatrist?
you can imagine whatever you like. Cause
It's like an adventure through,
yeah,
yeah.
here,
The because
have a seat on my couch. It's right back. It's right behind me.
take a seat, take a
It's,
seat right over
take a
there.
seat. Just go
Um,
on. It's
I
very comfy.
I
You can
guess it is,
extend it. Everything. It's
man.
great.
That it is interesting to think when, because of course you don't think about it a lot, but when you think about where you started when it comes to the approach that you were taking, and then naturally just where it ends up, because all of it was like I don't like I don't network really. I just kind of
Mm.
talk to people.
Yeah,
So then
that's
when you meet people who are like minded and you just kind of start naturally drifting in certain directions in terms of the stuff that you're talking about. It's just interesting
yeah.
to think about how that happens organically.
Yeah, I think I told this before, like when Mala started to get traction and got bigger, and then the whole EFAP stuff happened. Uh,
Hmm.
and like guests came on, and we were just doing what we were doing like for years now, just hanging out while one of us is streaming. And
Yeah.
then I don't remember who came on, and then we just hanging out, having some banter. I think Mala was streaming and was playing something, just like we do all the time, basically.
Hmm.
And people was like, "Oh, thank you for letting me on," and we are like, "Huh? What? What? We're just hanging out. What's happening?" Like, it was so normal for us. Like, I think a lot of creators out there are not used to that. That people just hang out and are actually like friends with each other when they're
Um.
online.
Yeah. I think that that's true. That it's not as that like, oh, you just like hang out when you're not on stream. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's
a
like,
bit, yeah.
"Oh, you started streaming.
Um.
Like, what are you doing?" It's like, "Oh yeah, we were hanging out for like 4 hours before the stream." It's like,
Yeah. I think, but I mean, that's just what you do when you like talking to people,
yeah, yeah,
just chill out and have them fun conversations, and of course, try and because a lot of what's happening off stream, like when it comes to conversations about movies and stuff, and broader subjects, a lot of the time it is trying to like keep hammering away at that system to
yeah,
try and keep
yeah,
figuring out what are the. And I think that's an approach that you should have, not just to like whatever endeavor you're trying to do personally, something that you want to get better at,
yeah.
but also just in general of like trying to find the weaknesses in the system that you're working with and seeing if you need to patch them up or if there is some sort of reworking of whatever like whatever you're working with.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason we were
So
complaining for a whole week about Halo, and actually, I complained about Halo earlier because I was playing with a monk a bit and was pissed off about the progression again. So it's
yeah,
gonna
it's
happen
fucking
every
annoying.
time I'm gonna play it because the game is fun, but then you look at everything around it. Whatever, no need to go
Yeah,
on that tangent again. Not yet,
it,
maybe
it
later.
I will say that the Halo stuff has kind of reignited an interest for me in exploring topics that I used to talk about a lot more, because I remember because obviously this Total Biscuit was like a big inspiration in terms of
Mm,
getting into it, and one of the things that he talked about a lot was a lot of the consumer advocacy stuff and business models in the video game industry, and that's that's kind of what I'm working on now for like the
yeah,
next
it's
little
funny because
project, just thinking about these topics.
yeah, I remember watching Total Biscuit back when he was well alive, obviously, and doing videos. And I don't think I really appreciated what he did. Like I was just watching videos, like yeah, those are good videos. There's some good recommendations. Like if he says it's not gonna be dog shit, I'm probably gonna agree with this. But when I look back on it these days, like man, we need a Total Biscuit right now. Like we
Total
need a Total
Biscuit was
Biscuit. Like
Total
fuck.
Biscuit was so incredibly articulate when it came to these topics. He was super, super valuable
Yeah.
as an observer of the video game industry. And yeah, you left here. It's like, man, I'm still so interested in what he would have to say about all of the things that keep coming up.
Mm,
All these topics. It was, yeah, that was definitely a loss.
absolutely. Yeah.
because he was one of the best he was one of the best gaming like YouTubers that there was.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I just saw
Yeah, go ahead.
I saw that someone in chat mentioned that because it was on the subject of the whole good
Yeah, yeah.
conversation, that a friend once argued that since good is generally accepted to mean fit for purpose, and the purpose of a movie is to entertain, any movie that someone can find entertaining is therefore good. Well, so I guess it's worthwhile to remember that when it comes to like the conversations about media or basically anything, you need to make sure that whoever you're talking to, that you are agreeing on some sort of fundamental like system that you're working with
Yeah.
or method,
Because
because
we
if not, then you're going to be talking past each
Yeah,
other.
exactly. You need to agree what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
if the other person is
Um.
talking about, oh, this is good because it's entertainment, it's like, oh yeah, that's fine, but that's not what I want to talk about right now.
Right.
You want to
Exactly.
make
Because
that
of course,
perfectly clear.
not everybody is interested in going in like in depth and thorough
Oh yeah, I mean, I have
about movies and stuff like that.
lots of friends that are like, they basically watch every single movie out there, like every popular movie, and I'd never even see them talk about it on Discord after. It's like, what?
Well, no, because a lot
It's
of
like,
people just want to go watch the
yeah,
movie,
that's fine.
have a
That's
fun
fine,
time, then come
obviously.
home. Absolutely. Everybody has. It's just that the problem is that it's difficult when it's the subject of like good,
Mm,
as a notion like good or bad, because it's is that all that the standard is, that if people liked it or people had fun with it, that means that you've succeeded? It's like, well, I guess it depends on what your objectives are.
yeah,
But I mean, when it comes to like but the problem is that there are too many examples of films that we would all agree are like excellent that just didn't grab people. I mean, Blade Runner feels like the obvious example. A lot of people think that movie's boring and slow. It didn't do very well when it first came out,
mm-hmm.
and I don't like those metrics in terms of determining what is good, that the most people were happy with it. That just feels like a really inconsistent, flimsy standard to use.
Yeah,
um if there is a standard that exists, and of course that becomes complicated because there are so many caveats, like the more we can boil it down to some kind of like fundamental that sort of underlines everything that we're talking about, that's preferable. And consistency is a really good one, because basically all it is how well does A connect to B? If a story is a sequence of events, which is what it is to find like everywhere in the world, and that is a human concept as well. Like we made that. So a story is A connects to B. Bob, that isn't a story because it's just a subject. There's no like events. There's no where, there's no when, there's no this happens and then this happens. Um and I like this example because it feels like a good one.
yeah.
Bob walked to the shops. He had no legs. It's like, wait a minute,
How?
something's wrong here. There's like
Yeah,
a disconnect. As opposed to Bob walked to the shops. He got a sausage roll. He ate it. He was happy. He walked home. That's a story that's sound. Whether or not we think that that's a particularly good, great story, that's a totally different subject. And then you can talk about things that you can add on, like character development,
mm-hmm.
thematic through lines, and things like that.
What
But as
happens
long
in
as we can boil it
between?
down,
Like
yeah, exactly.
that.
How well do the events connect as well is a subject.
That's
Um,
hopefully the way things should go when you write a story. You have your basic through line, and then you put little bits and bobs in there while you still keep in mind, oh, if I do this, this still makes sense with the character I did earlier, or would this character do the thing considering what I characterized him as?
yeah. Your audience, the audience is ultimately going to be relying on things that you tell them about the story, about the characters, like expectations that you are going to set up for them about how things operate. And people just do this naturally because that's just what human beings do.
Yeah,
We get presented with information and we try to interpolate it in a way that is useful in the future. That's how we operate. I don't know that there's any human who doesn't operate on that level fundamentally. So it's really good to derive a fundamental from storytelling from that, because ultimately anything that you ever see somebody praise a movie for is going to be based on what's in the film, and it's probably going to be based on how A connects to B, because that's what stories are. Trey Parker and Matt Stone talk about the you don't want to have an and then story, you want to have a but therefore story, and it feels like that underlines kind of like the point, right? It's this happens, but this happens, therefore this happens. It's like, so we've got a clear through line of cause and effect. Something is happening, but then there is a cause happens, and then this is the effect, and then we follow it from there. And it's
Yeah.
a really good fundamental position to work from. And I mean, of course, if like every single story ever was like fundamentally like 100% logical and consistent like throughout, then you can start digging into like the really complicated nuanced stuff like out of cinematography, music, and things like that. And I mean, of course, you talk about that naturally, but it's like that baseline, A connects to B, like that's I feel like that's got to be like the most important part because
Yeah.
that's essentially what the story is. Um, that's
Yeah.
the process, really.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's funny enough when we were doing the whole DC arc. Like, that's basically how it came down to in the end to separate the movies from which one is the worst. Like, was there like even a little bit to see that even connected remotely? It's like, oh yeah, that was okay. They had a character in this movie. This goes above the other
Yeah,
one. It's like, it was a really
it
interesting
gets
process. It's like, man, that's weird.
it gets super funny to think about when you've got films that are so terrible that you're really trying to figure out
Yeah.
these tiny little points to get somewhere. Um, to get somewhere like with your analysis. That is
Yeah,
really funny to think about.
that was bizarre to rate for sure.
Those movies suck ass.
Yeah. Well, where was I? Right, yeah, stories. Right, yeah. I think
Oh,
we,
the interesting stories, yeah.
yeah.
Um,
I think we got the gist of that. I mean, we could probably go on forever just on that topic alone,
we could,
because it's super
we could.
interesting. I mean, you do on your streams all the time, which is fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to bounce ideas because a lot of the time when I'm streaming, I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, depends on how receptive the environment is to making observations that you may well end up disagreeing with as soon as the words come out of your mouth. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's a good way of just trying to figure out more and more about how the. I just think that trying to be really consistent in general is a good thing. It's part of the reason why people don't like hypocrisy, and
Yeah,
it's why you want to try and be vigilant about it. Is because the more that you can work from some kind of like consistent standard, I think the better you're just going to be in terms of your approach to like not only films but like your approach to like I guess even philosophical problems like moral quandaries and things like that. If you can figure out like the underlying and yeah, exploration of that, I find just really fun. And I guess that's kind of like would explain why where the interest lies now in terms of like commentary and observations and stuff I talk about is I find that process of exploring it really interesting.
yeah. That's funny because there's a reason I call your stream the antithesis to mine, because we just fuck around and say coom a lot.
Come, yeah.
Just be fuckwits all the time. Then occasionally something comes up, mostly when I'm talking to other people. Like when I'm streaming on my own, it's mostly just like, come.
Yeah, Steeman. That's
Yeah.
Wumbo. Ooh, yeah.
Wombo words, yeah. This is
But I
fun.
mean,
I mean, obviously, when it
it's
comes
fun
up,
to chill.
when it comes up on my stream, I'll obviously talk about it, and I'm trying to get more stuff to talk about while I stream, because I notice like it's getting hard for me to talk about stuff on stream because I just sit in my flat working on
Hmm.
days, then I have a shower, and then I stream. It's like, yeah, there's not a lot to tell about my day here. Like I was just sitting here,
Right.
but instead of sitting here, I was sitting over there on my other desk.
Well, I know. I think it's something that Chuck Jones talked about when he was giving people advice on like becoming better animators, cartoonists, and things like that.
Mm.
This is so rich. Not from him because he was like one of the masters. This is rich coming from me, given my incredibly sedentary, hobbit like life, not hobbit, goblin like lifestyle. That that it's a good idea to learn more about the world and observe the world, and then that just helps in like not in like creative endeavors.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of the time, like we imagine creative endeavors is somebody locked in their like office, their art. room. They're, just like hammering away. And I mean that's a part of it too, getting good at anything. But I mean it's nice to look out the window and see and just see stuff like birds and go, is there something I can think about when it comes to birds? Like what can I think about birds? This bird that I'm looking at out the window right now. And can I pull something from that? That's so fucking pretentious.
Yeah.
Look at the birds in the sky. What does that tell you about, the human experience? That we're here dealing with our petty squabbles while that bird is just eating shit out of the tree and flying around having a good time. What can we learn from the birds?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun to think about for sure. Yeah, so before we get into the actual movie, well, you obviously got to be the third host of EFAB after Wolf left. So how did that even happen? Like I don't remember when you first came on EFAB. Like
me.
Yeah, I mean I'm not asking for like precise date, just like
roundabout. Well, because I met Mola through I remember I saw the TLJ critique, and then I saw that he was streaming on Rags, like he was talking to Rags, and I was like, I want to talk to this guy. I thought his video was good, and then that happened, and then that was like the whole story of just continuing from there.
Oh, okay.
I like in terms of getting to know him and then hanging out on EFAP occasionally. I think it was around this time last year when that was an idea that was floated, and when I thought, oh, that seems like a good idea, especially given how many times I'd been on at that point anyway. I think because I'm pretty sure like you have the other than you, I think I had one of the more common like
yeah, I think you were right behind me at that point. You probably you obviously took me over now. I would think.
Yeah, I figure, but I think that was the case, and it was just like
I think before that was like Jay was like the first one on the guest list for a lot of time.
That probably
and
is.
Now I'm just like
I'm right.
I think now I'm like a day past Jay. It's funny because in the beginning I wasn't on EFAP at all. Like I think in the first 50 episodes I was on like twice.
Right, and then it's just
because I didn't really know what to do. Like it was like, do I fit in this? Like this is weird. Well, now I'm there sometimes.
Much more slotted in. Yeah.
This is probably where it started for me, just talking more about like movies and stuff, and then at some point I obviously
getting into it more. Yeah.
Did the John Wick video, which happened at some point. And then, there was just there was just a joke at some point, and then at some point I was like, you know what, I think I'm just gonna do it for real. And then I did. Then I wrote my script, and then I went over it with Mutually when I was over there, and realized, man, I'm really shit at this.
And then, well, I mean, everybody feels, like it's. I guess there's partly the influence of like your own worst critic, which I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
And then also like your recognition of oh, well, here are the things I can improve, and then I guess it's just a process of actually forcing yourself to sit down and do it, which can be really fucking hard. It can be really hard to like sit down and push through what you feel like is dog shit or something just to try and improve and get better.
Metal is jealous. Hey, come on.
Well, I mean, I think because I think the main thing that was in terms of going on EFAP was availability. I think that was like, or just a situation of like I was in a better position to.
I mean, Mutually asked me at some point. I think when he told me that you were, he was like, "Yeah, I didn't ask you because you have to work and you probably can't commit." It's like, yeah, that's right.
Because there is a whole.
I'm not even sure, even if I would do this full time, if I would commit to something like EFAP, because I like having my Saturdays off because a lot of friends of mine are off then.
Right.
So
whereas I'm a fucking hermit, so it's not as much of a problem for me.
I like to be flexible. I mean, I'm very content just being a very regular guest, I guess.
Right, and then doing your own thing.
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, no, that's yeah. It's I think it's just like I think in terms of just become joining EFAP and doing it, it's like it's just fun. It's
Yeah,
fun to talk about
super fun.
movies and to try and delve into it and to have banter with a lot of people. And I just think it helps in terms of like developing a process to try and do writing and stuff. And ultimately, like if it's just getting to chill out with people that you like talking to, it's like, man, that's I could think of worse ways to use my time,
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
plus like even because this is the funny thing, right? Because like the EFAP gets the criticism for being too long, but meanwhile there's like a lot of streamers who will stream for like 8 hours a day every
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
It's like I can't fucking do that. Like there's no fucking way. I don't have the endurance. I don't want to do that. So like only having to do it like once a week, sometimes twice a week, it's like, yeah, that fits in. That fits in fine,
Yeah.
and I can still like work on my projects.
Yeah, I mean, I just instead of not instead of free time. I mean, I still consider streaming free time really, but
Yeah, I certainly do. In a
I'd
certain sense.
rather play on stream and talk to some people in chat or while I'm playing a game, and instead of just sitting here on my own. Like, why not just
Yeah.
stream it? So that's why I just
Um,
stream so much. Like, why not?
I'm a little bit different. I think I get a certain amount of value out of me alone time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the
But
thing is,
yeah, no,
I'm not like super strict with it, which
yeah.
might be to my detriment in growth, maybe. I don't know. But if I feel like not streaming, I just don't stream that day because I don't
Mhm.
feel like I'm gonna produce good content anyways. I'm just gonna sit here and it's like, yeah, so I'm
Yep.
streaming. And it's like I'm actually really tired and I'd rather go to bed and not talk to anyone. But I
Yeah.
feel like I have to right now. I don't want to get this feeling that I have to stream. Like if I want to do this
Uh
full time at some point, I probably have to stream in a pretty regular basis. But
yeah,
also, if
sure,
I
but I
want to do
mean,
this
it's
full time, I
you want to
also
preserve the fun.
yeah. But exactly, I want to preserve the fun. And if there's just nothing to play or something I want to play, like that's why
Yeah.
I
I,
don't
I
like. That's why I never that I could never be like a pro gamer in well, I don't know League or something because at some point I just want to play
fuck
something
no.
else. And it's always
Fuck no, I can't
super
do that.
interesting to me when I see like professional League streamers and they play anything else and their numbers just go into the bottoms. Like all the other people, they don't give a shit what you play. They're not there for you. They're there for the gameplay, which is
Mhm.
also a career path you could take. But
Absolutely.
I couldn't
Uh,
because in the beginning I thought about doing speedruns at some point because I found it pretty
right.
fun. But then I realized like I don't want to play this game over and over again. It's like,
That's definitely the case for me. Like I can't do it. I can't.
yeah,
I need novelty. I can't talk about one game. I can't talk about like one. Fuck. I can't.
yeah,
It's not. I can't do it. I'd lose my shit. I think if I had
yeah.
to.
I
Like, and also I do wonder about like whether or not it's even a particularly good idea in terms of longevity, and also a level of bias, right? Like if you're a Call of Duty YouTuber, how critical do you really want to be of Call of Duty when
yeah,
you kind of rely on like Activision to get access to like press things and of course like not want to alienate your own audience. Like I don't like
yeah.
the idea of being a problem I'd have to deal with not being able to say what I think
Mm.
just because I don't want to piss people off.
I found it also interesting. It's just something I noticed. Like people who stream like 3, 4, 500 people, and I click on their streams, and their chat is barely moving. It's like how does that happen? Like why is it? Because you have the extremes, right? You have like the super big streamers where the chat just moves like 100 kilometers per hour. Like
Hmm.
just no way you could keep up with anything that's gonna be said in there. But then you also have the other ones where they have like 3, 4, 500 viewers and their chat moves slower than mine. And it's like, that's weird. Like, how does it happen? Like, when I have
I think
50
that's a
viewers or
matter of
something.
engagement.
Yeah. And
I think that's absolutely just engagement.
like, even on slow days when there's only 30 people, the chat is still moving pretty constantly. Like, people are talking, like, I'm talking to people. It's, I guess, just different streaming cultures, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I would say I think that's just a matter of engagement, like how much you talking to people, how much because ultimately I guess the problem is like I'm not quite sure what people want when they come to stream sometimes because like
Yeah.
my engagement with streams is probably like lower than would be expected in terms of how often I watch streams and
Mm,
stuff like that. But I get the distinct impression that like a lot of engagement has to do with what are you talking about and how much are you talking to the people who are watching.
yeah.
But then again, like you know, I'm not gonna be given like, hey, here's how you get a more successful stream. Pro tips from Friggy. Like I don't.
I
I'm
think
sure
it
that
it,
other
always,
people got to
it
figure that out.
all depends on which audience you want to cater to in the end.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Because I
I
think
think so.
if you start being like a pro gamer in a game, like a pro league player or whatever, I don't think you do it really for the engagement because you have to train like 8 hours a day
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
and then you probably still
Like
play
people,
more when you're offline. Because I
and I
think
mean,
that
people might
it's
just
like
be watching in that case for like to
yeah,
see
because
someone really high level.
they train and then they get obviously revenue streams from just from the streams in general because people want to see those insane plays all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, and you see a few observations in chat, right? That there's energy is a part of it, and
Yeah.
then
That's why I
in
don't
the
like
case here,
streaming while I'm tired. Like I try to prevent that mostly. Because when I feel
yeah,
super tired, I'd rather hang out on my own, watch some stupid
mhm.
stuff on YouTube or whatever, or go to bed early.
Yeah, I guess there is a question of like if something is your job, you have to be able to show up every day, but then you just got to try and be more switched on and
Yeah,
more
yeah,
aware of
absolutely.
what's happening. Like you just that's
I mean, I'm pretty
trade
sure
off,
I
right?
could stream even longer if I wouldn't do well a 9 to 5 job every day and then stream after.
Right.
Like I could probably stream easily for like 6, 7 hours, depending on the game. Really, like if I have a game that's not very engaging, as no,
Yeah,
it's probably gonna be
I
shit.
exactly. Yes, I'm not sure. I think I have a limit, and then that limit gets extended if I'm talking to someone else.
Yeah, 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 same. Because
There's
I would probably
need
take
to take
like
a break.
take breaks in between. Like I would do like 15-minute breaks after like I don't know 4 hours or whatever, and just
Hmm.
move around, have something to drink, maybe a snack or whatever, and then just go ahead and do more. Because even my
Yeah,
super long streams, there's only like a handful of them, and most of them are probably the ones where we play Gothic Phone.
right.
Uh, and I think there's like 4, 5 where I do solo streams that are 12 hours long. I think the only one that comes
Yeah.
to mind right now is Shadow of the Colossus.
Did you do like a long play for that?
My very first playthrough of Shadow of the Colossus was all the way through in one go while I got pissed.
Oh, was that because you were having so much fun with it, or
No, I was just. I mean, yeah, yeah. I had super. Like the game is amazing. I love that game. It's fantastic. But
yeah?
I also wanted to have drinks that night, so I just
I see.
drank. And there's actually one of the. I think the last highlights Mauler did. There's a compilation of us too. He's just chill going through the game, and I'm just fucking yelling. It's like bullshit because I'm at the last boss, and just dying or getting. No, I'm not dying actually. I'm just getting. Uh, Pushed off into the little hole. I don't know. Are you aware? Did you play the game?
I've not played Shadow of the
Oh, okay.
Colossus.
Because
No.
you have to get close to the last one, and he somehow pushes you into a walkway where you came up from, and you have to do it over and over and over again. I was so
Right.
drunk, I just couldn't pull it off properly. And then
Yeah, I
I
no
played the
doubt.
remaster when it came out as well. And man, that boss
Hmm.
was way easier while I was sober. It was great.
And then you kind of get more of the actual experience of Shadow of the Colossus. That does feel like one of those you're supposed to play it games like I should play it, kind of like Citizen Kane slots in there as like one of
Mm.
those movies you should watch.
I need to watch it. I've
Um,
never seen that. I'm not even sure
I
about what it is, if I'm being honest. I
so
only know it's considered like one of the best movies ever or the best movie ever.
yes, so the story for me with Citizen Kane was I always heard that and I'm like I wonder like
Yeah.
I do wonder like I had no doubt that it would be a good film. I guess my curiosity was man, is it really like the greatest film of all time, or is that just something that people say? And then I watched it, and I was like, "Oh no, yeah, I totally see why people think this is one of the greatest films of all time."
Nice.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for Citizen Kane for how old that movie was. God damn, is it impressive as a story, as a cinematic experience.
Nice.
Um, it's like a really well crafted tale, great cinematography, fantastic acting. It feels a lot more modern as a film than you would expect, given how old it was. Um, I really, really think that movie is fantastic.
I'm gonna put that on
Um,
my to watch list
I,
because I've
I
never
would
seen it.
definitely recommend
Because
it.
I remember you told us at some point that you watched it and were very impressed.
Yeah, that was somewhat recently. I still need to watch Taxi Driver though. That's one of the ones on the list too.
Wait, you didn't
There are
watch
a whole
Taxi
bunch
Driver?
on there.
Then we
I have
didn't
not
we have
seen
to watch
Taxi
that for
Driver,
the
no.
EFAB? Wait, were you even on that EFAB? Was it before
I
you?
wasn't. I don't think so.
Oh, because
Because I know that I know Rags watched it and has the controversial opinion on it. That's all I know.
yeah.
I know a bunch of stuff about like I kind of know a decent amount about what it's about just through cultural references.
Sure, yeah.
Um, like for instance, because of course, when you watch The Simpsons, you've kind of by proxy watched part of a lot of different movies. Because are you talking to me the Mo thing where he
Yeah,
pulls out the gun and it smashes the mirror? But yeah, no, I need to watch Taxi Driver.
yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, I need to watch Citizen Kane. I'll probably actually do that for
Yep,
this format. That could be fun.
I that could be cool. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a segue right into 12 Angry Men.
another classic. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you find that movie? How did you happen to watch that one? Did you watch it like
Um,
recently for the first time before you did
no,
the
no, no.
video, or?
I think I think I watched it at school. That was the first time I
Oh,
watched
okay.
it. Like for I think yeah I no it was definitely at school. And I remember that was when I first watched it. I think it was for English. To like talk about. I think that wasn't about writing specifically. It was much more like a theme conversation because
Mm-hmm.
that was what you talked about like in English at school was themes and stuff. Um, and so I remember I'd really liked it. I think I watched it between then as well, just at times, but I can't remember what spurred me to watch it so recently for the video. I actually can't remember, despite the fact that it was so recent.
Yeah.
I just always really liked it.
Yeah. I really like it too. Uh, I watched it twice, once today and once yesterday.
Hmm.
Because I did pause a lot yesterday when I watched it to take notes. So it's like I want to watch that all the way through without pausing too much. And
Yeah,
yeah, the second playthrough. I always want to say playthrough. Second watch through as you get a lot of appreciation for that movie on a second watch through, especially if
yeah,
you have everything fresh in mind.
absolutely.
You notice a lot of little there's no way we can talk about everything because man, there's so much detail in this movie and everything is very deliberate in what happens and how
Yep.
people talk and move and how they placed. It's man, I was very impressed. Like that movie might be going up into my top 5 movies actually. Like I was very
I
impressed. Top
yeah,
10, top 10 for sure, maybe even top 5. I'm not 100%.
okay. Yeah, no, this movie I'm not sure where exactly it slots in terms of my top, but it's definitely in the like top area.
Yeah.
Um I really like this movie a lot. I think because you've said deliberate, I feel like that is the key descriptive for this
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
This film is very deliberately made.
yeah.
It's a film that doesn't waste any time, like
No,
at all.
not at
I don't
all.
think it wastes any time.
Yeah, I guess before we get too into it, I think I just go through the plot really quickly
Sure.
because that shouldn't take long because the plot is actually very simple, uh,
Yes.
which is works so good, so well for this movie. So basically, we just go into a courtroom right away. We see our jury and our judge. The judge basically just says, "This boy is charged for first-degree murder. You're the jury. You have to decide if he gets to be killed or goes free or judged not guilty," which doesn't probably doesn't mean he's going free right away. I'm not sure. I'm not super versed in the
Oh,
and
yeah, no, it is dichotomous. It would be guilty, he gets a death penalty; not guilty, he walks out the courtroom that day.
Oh, yeah, okay, he gets to do in this
Yeah.
day, but obviously people can do like more stuff. I think I have no idea about court systems. I'll be quite honest.
Well, fortunately with this film, you don't need to have a
Yeah, you don't need
a
to.
really good understanding. You just need to know the basics of like guilty, not guilty,
Yeah,
innocent until proven guilty, burden of proof, stuff like that.
yeah, and they tell you everything you need to know to understand what's happening.
Yes.
They tell
Yeah.
you these 12 men need to decide this little boy's fate, who's just turned 18 years old or is 18 years old.
Yeah.
And the rest of the movie is just them discussing about his fate. So they do like a preliminary vote. It's 11 to 1. But
Yeah.
it has to be unanimous. There we go.
Unanimous. Yeah.
So as long as someone is against the other ones, they have to decide or talk about what happens next. So basically, the rest of the movie is them in one room, the room you can see on stream right now, is them talking about the case. And the one guy who is saying not guilty, because everyone else says, yes, guilty is pretty clear, says, no, you know what? I'm not feeling comfortable with just sending this boy to die. I think we should at least talk about it. And basically, he just convinces one person, and then they talk more about the case, and things come up, things that don't really mix up, and then more people get convinced, and more, until at the end, everyone says, like, yeah, not guilty. And that's basically
Yes.
the plot of the movie, because the plot itself is, like, super simple. That's all there is to it. Like, the focus on this is the conversations between the people and how they get to where they want to go in the story.
Yeah, so I think so that's basically like the broad strokes. The idea
Yeah.
is that juror number 8, which is Henry Fonda, because we don't know their names,
Yeah.
he is the person who is, he just sits there and says,
Uh,
I'm not so sure that I like, we should at least talk about it. You see throughout the film that basically his agenda is basically like, can we not just jump to conclusions? Can we
yeah.
just
Yeah.
talk it through? And
Actually, let
then
me do something
gradually,
for the audience really quick because I did a
sure.
screenshot and put numbers on the people, so that might
Oh,
actually be
yes.
easier. There you go.
That is
So we should probably
handy.
probably clarify. We don't get the names for most of these people. We only
No.
get 2 names at the end of the movie before it ends, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Juror number 8, Davis. Number
Yeah.
9 is MacArthur. MacArthur or McGargle. It doesn't matter. He's 9. That's
Yeah,
who it is. He's
exactly.
number 9.
Yeah, so we don't
Yeah,
get
that
any
actually
names of
does
them.
help.
And as I really liked how they did it because it's like, oh, we should just sit down without jury numbers. And it's like, oh, so you're making it easy for me, movie. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's clear vocabulary in the film to make it easier to
Yeah.
understand who's who.
And also the way how they do it is nice because everything they do and talk about in this movie feels so natural. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense if we sit in numbers. And then you hear number 1 talks like, oh yeah, you sit here, number 12 here, 1 here, and then we go 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's like he does it like a real person would do it. It's
Yeah.
like
They're
really feel
very
like
well realized people.
yeah. They feel like real people you could meet on the streets in this time.
What? Yeah, I mean, I guess to give a broad summary for the people who haven't seen it, juror number
Yeah,
1,
go ahead.
he's probably like the most. He's probably like the least character in this film, but he still feels like a real person. He doesn't have as much involvement, but he's basically taking the role of like, I'm gonna help guide the formal aspect of it, deliberation. Then I'll call votes, and then and that's basically who he is. Number 2 is he's meek. He gets bowled over pretty easily by other people, but as the story goes on, he finds more of his voice. And starts to make arguments himself. Number 3 is probably the character that would be described as the antagonist. He's very gruff, aggressive, very, very harsh, and somewhat vengeful, seemingly. Like it's clearly quite personal for him, for reasons we'll find out later. Number 4 is, I guess you could also call him an antagonist, but he is very much just, I care about the facts of the case.
I
I want to
I
do
think
this
I
as
don't dis-
clinically as
I
possible.
think I wouldn't agree if you would tell me he's an antagonist.
Well, yeah, I guess that's the thing about antagonist is like
Yeah.
because I wouldn't really describe any of them like that. It's more that he is an opposing force
Yeah, I
throughout the
think
film.
I think he is probably my favorite character because
He Yeah, he might be.
yeah,
He's
especially with how he uses words. Like it's so good. Like
he
I stopped sometimes. This movie I was like, fuck, this is good.
Yeah, well that's basically who he is because we
Yeah,
find out he's a stockbroker. His approach is very straight laced. He's trying very hard not to be uh like he's not attaching his personal objectives to like the case.
yeah.
He's just trying
He basically
as clinical
uses
as
the
possible.
information he has given at the time to
Yeah.
reach his conclusion. And when you hear him talk, it's
The
like, oh yeah, actually, what you say makes sense. Like I need to hear
What
another
he says
argument
makes a
now.
lot of sense.
Yeah,
But something that becomes kind of clearer is that there are things that he just isn't paying as much attention to. Like
yeah,
he's not his blind spot is people, seemingly. Like his blind spot is that he doesn't pay as much attention to the way that people behave and what they're noticing and yeah, I think that's like the part where he lacks. But otherwise, he's
hmm,
a hyper intelligent guy. And then we
absolutely.
got number 5 there, who is um he grew up in like a poor area of the city, similar to the accused.
Hmm,
We see like earlier on that he doesn't participate that much. He seems kind of like distant, but he's also like a pretty like normal guy, but
yeah,
he's got kind of a rough past. That's the gist of him. And our boy number 6 there, he is just salt of the earth working man
yeah,
with
yeah,
very normal values in terms of like show respect for old people,
yeah,
don't yell at people, be like civil and yeah, I'm pretty sure he is like a construction worker or a laborer or something like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Yes.
then yeah, number 7, he doesn't give a shit. He's entirely apathetic about the case itself. He just wants to get out of there. He wants to go watch a baseball game.
Hmm.
He You could describe him as an antagonistic element earlier on in the film. I think like earlier on his role is more prevalent, and then as it goes on, it starts to become less relevant, like what he's talking about, what he thinks.
Yeah, yeah,
Because it's pretty clear like that all he cares about is getting out of there. He doesn't give a shit about the case at
yeah.
all.
He just wants to go out and see
Which
his baseball game.
yeah,
He's constantly
and
checking his
that is a
watch and everything. It's like, oh,
he's
yeah,
always checking his watch. Yeah.
yeah,
And I mean that's an important aspect of the film. Like that character in particular is just this is a guy who definitely exists.
yeah,
This is the
yeah.
guy who doesn't give a shit about this case. He doesn't want to be there. He's not taking it seriously. He just wants to go home. He doesn't care.
Hmm,
Um, it's important that that character exists. I think for like the broader points of the film.
hmm.
Um, and number 8 is our protagonist.
Yeah,
Essentially, he's the first to vote not guilty. He's pushing the case for not guilty. He is a very level-headed, reasonable man who is, I guess, maybe more in tune, like emotionally, with the situation and more sympathetic. Um, he is a bit of an everyman in that sense, but I feel like he plays that role quite well.
absolutely. Yeah.
And then we see number 9. This he's the second person to vote not guilty.
Hmm.
Essentially, the deuteragonist of the film. He is he he's seen a lot. He's world weary, but not in a way that's like detrimental. He understands people quite well. He has a
Yeah.
lot of observations that are interesting that other people don't come to because he's quite thoughtful in that every time he talks that there's some like brand new perspective that's being revealed that hasn't been considered by everybody else.
Yeah.
And
He's
he provides a lot of the go for
yeah.
it.
I just wanted to add because he's super interesting. Because in the first 30 minutes, he doesn't say a single word except, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to keep you waiting." When he comes from the bathroom, because
And then he
up
says
until this
nothing
point, he
else.
just says nothing else. He's just listening until
Yeah.
number 8 says his case, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you know what? I want to hear more." And that's how we get the ball rolling.
Yeah, I mean, he's super important in terms of
Oh
like
yeah.
there are a lot of just key revelations that don't come to light if not for him. Because the main thing that he contributes is he makes these observations about the witnesses and
Yep.
how they're behaving and what their motives might be and things of that nature. Um, and then number 10, he's the bigot. He's
Oh
just
yeah.
racist. He's an asshole.
he does. He's an asshole. He can't take any criticism. As soon as
No, he
someone
can't.
says anything against him, when he says something, he's like, you're just a kid." He just goes to insults basically immediately. I don't think he made a
He is
single good point in the whole movie.
he is like he in the modern day, he's one of the people you see in like Twitch debates who's just a fucking idiot who just says a lot of like stupid non
Yeah.
sequiturs. Like he instead of addressing the questions, he'll be like, "Why are you even asking that?" Like, "Oh yeah, you just want to." Like he is a fallacy machine.
Oh
The
yeah,
amount
yeah.
of the amount of fallacies he just engages in is pretty hilarious. And then we have, I think, a very strong contender. I think he might be my favorite character. Juror number 11.
Hmm.
He is an immigrant from Central or Eastern Europe.
Yeah, something.
He is exceedingly polite. Basically a gentleman in every sense of the word. And his main thing, like the main thing that he has, is that he has really deep respect for the idea of like justice as a concept and the justice system that we have in like Western countries. Innocent until proven guilty,
Mm-hmm.
a jury, you know, judged by your own peers, like burden of proof. All of these concepts about the idea of we have an approach that we need to take to figure out, you know, right from wrong. He has a lot of respect for it, and he takes the process very seriously.
Yeah.
And even when he's still decided to vote guilty, he, in good faith, engages with the subject and tries to think about potential counter arguments to the points that are being made. Like in terms of guilty and not guilty verdicts, he might be my favorite character.
Yeah, I can see that. He's
Yeah.
pretty nifty character. Uh,
Um, and then that brings us to number 12, our last guy. He's an advertising guy. He talks a lot in the earlier sequences, but a lot of it's pretty vacuous and vapid.
yeah, he's like
Um,
the like a little bit jokester like
yeah,
Seven is also joking a lot.
yes,
And in the
but
beginning, like everyone is like kind of on board. It's like, yeah, it's just a little fun. And then later on, like most people turn on and it's like, that's not funny. Like, what are you doing?
yeah, as people start to get more deeper into the facts, I think the main thing that you notice, because 12 might be the most complicated one in terms of its like it can be kind of tricky to like hone in on what exactly his deal is, but I
Yeah,
think the main takeaway is that he's actually quite insecure,
yeah, yeah,
um and unsure of himself. He struggles to construct his thoughts, especially under pressure, and it becomes very easy to influence him one way or the other.
yeah,
He's quite indecisive. um yeah, I find him super interesting. And then that's all of them.
yeah,
That's your whole cast, basically the whole movie. Everybody else, you only hear about them through conversations about them.
yeah. It's really fun because the movie, as soon as the movie starts and you see these people for the first time, they're already getting characters, like already immediately. Because
Yeah.
if you look, see here, where's my Streamlabs? Let me just put up my VLC here. Because the first shot we see, let me put that in full screen. Or like a very early shot at least. You can see this. I can see this is number 3 on the left there. No, 3? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not mixing it up. He's already looking angrily at the kid. Number 8 is just looking at the judge thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And when you just go through it, it's just, you can see the different people looking
Well,
different.
this is that's a key example here of telling, you know, character without dialogue. This is just like a really quintessential example
Yeah, you see
of
number 7
subtext.
in this shot immediately check his watch. Like you all could already tell, like
Yeah.
he has a quote unquote time limit. And what I also really liked, if I just go ahead a little bit, in this shot, you can see some of them looking back at the boy, and some of them not at
Some of them.
all, just going
Yeah.
straight back, like already making their decision. Like
Yeah.
that's like
It's not.
we like to that's like 2 minutes 40 seconds, and the intro is in
And look
there
at how much
with the
character.
logos and everything. Like you already get character. I was like, damn, like I just started. Give me break movie. Like, this is
Well,
insane.
I mean, I think the thing is that a lot of it you won't notice the first time around, but when you watch it the second time, it all lines up
Yeah,
pretty
but
well.
I
Like
obviously had
who's
the
looking at him,
I always had the
you know?
benefit of I watched your video, obviously, so
Right.
I was very
Yeah.
observant about the characters, and when I started watching, it's like I immediately saw some people turning back. It's like, oh shit, that's interesting.
Yeah,
It's
and you
good.
can
It's
pull
good
a lot from
stuff.
that. The other example earlier in the film of that kind of storytelling is, hey, let's call the preliminary vote. Everybody raise your hands if ever guilty. The last five people to raise their hands are the first five people to change their votes to not guilty. They all
I
hesitate a little bit.
That's what I noticed on my second watch through. I was about to mention that
Yeah,
as well because I found that really neat. It's like, oh wait, like
I think that's great.
all the other ones just go straight up. It's like, yeah, guilty, and then the other ones like, yeah, I guess guilty. Like I didn't really think about it,
Exactly,
but
exactly.
I heard the
Yeah,
prosecutor doing all these things, and it sounds pretty reasonable. But I just like,
yeah.
nah, I'm not having any of this shit.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what's happening there, and I mean, you can start to see it get revealed, like when two is like, I just think he's guilty, like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I just think, and then number five he passes like he doesn't even want to talk about it. Number six has pretty standard interpretation, but it's not super strong. Just like I was thinking about the motive, the testimony like from the prosecution about the anger and stuff like that was really
Hmm.
it's not great, but that's the point, right? They're not super convinced. It's
Exactly.
just peer pressure.
Yeah. When we
It's
get to number
really
seven,
good.
he's like, oh, everyone has just been said, and then he goes over the criminal history of the child. It's like, oh yeah, like a real good boy, you want to help here, and so on.
Right, he's already resorting to bullshit
Yeah,
tactics
exactly. Like
to try to
things that
argue
have
him out of it.
nothing to do, and then you already get
Um,
some tension between some of the characters.
yeah,
It's because it's all spirals out of control between the characters. Like it all starts very very calmly. It's like, oh, there's only one, always one. That's saying, oh, he's
yeah.
not guilty or is against the other ones. And then he starts
It's the
making
tension.
good points. It's like, oh shit.
Yes, that's one of the things as the tension ratchets up, like the tone of the disagreement becomes, because at first it starts very dismissive, but as more and more people start to change sides, like particularly 10, he becomes very hostile. He starts getting madder and madder, and same with number 3 as well. Like he
Yeah, yeah,
starts getting madder as the tide begins to turn because you get more desperate. And I mean, the way that the film sort of achieves like illustrating tension in this room and being black and white, like a lot of it is how sweaty are these guys getting in
yeah,
this
yeah.
very hot room.
You see them getting
Um,
constantly more sweaty, like all the sweat marks under their arms, and
and more disheveled looking,
yeah, they just
just
all looks
they're starting to
exhausted after
deteriorate a
some
bit.
time.
Exactly, because they've been getting into it so much, and it's just these types of touches. It's these sorts of things that just make you feel like, man, you really thought about all of this when you were
Yeah.
writing.
Which is funny because number four just
That I
doesn't
observed
sweat.
was on accident.
Number four
Yeah,
just doesn't sweat. Like even number five points out somewhere, he's like, "Do you ever
yeah,
sweat?" And he's like, "Nah, I don't."
nope.
And
And then he does.
when he finally gets his last evidence taken down, you see him sweat and going like, "Oh shit! I almost sent a kid to die because I did a wrong. I
I
thought
missed that. Yeah.
I missed that." Yeah, thought it was
Oh,
quite
no,
nice little
the
setup.
first time the first time he sweats was when he was getting challenged on his memory when he was condemning the
Right? Yeah, yeah,
kid's
yeah. You're
ability
right.
to
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
memorize the name of the film. Like he couldn't remember a film we watched a couple of days ago,
Yeah, without
and
being under
this
stress.
is a very calm, exactly, a very calm man who is now frankly, like we're being real, like that's not an awesome point of like, oh, you didn't remember something. Like I don't think that's a particularly strong point, but I mean in the context of the film, I think it's totally fine as an example.
Yeah, because
um I,
the whole thing is in the end to figure out if there's a reasonable doubt to say
yeah,
he's not guilty. And number eight makes like some good points. Like, yeah, I think they just didn't do a lot of things, didn't properly cross-examine these things and little things he calls it, I think. And then when he just
that's one of
starts
the key points.
pointing them out, when he just pointing them out, and they put like testimonies together and they don't add up at all. It's like, oh shit. Because they just do like a really good job with this because we don't know the whole story. Like we obviously didn't see the whole the whole trial. Like we just get thrown in here, so we have to work with what they tell us. And the way they reveal the information and go on them is like it's really good because you always, at least I was always guessing like, oh shit, what about this? This seems like pretty solid. Like she saw him, like And then we have
that's
number
the
9 again, who's like, oh yeah, I just remembered she had like those marks number when he's talking to number 4.
that's the fun aspect of playing with it as a story. Like the plot, what the story is about people we don't see, and we only get that information through the characters, and more importantly, in terms of analyzing it as a story, through their perspective on what that means. And so like you can have them all have the same access to the same information, but the way that they present it, the way that they interpret it is all different, and that like bleeds into character, and it affects the way that it all progresses. It's really great approach that's interesting and you don't see very often.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, who else? Like, I was thinking about something just now. It just left my mind. But I'll just go to my list here because there's a lot of neat things in this movie you can talk about. So I'll probably get back to that. What was in my mind at some point. Yeah, because we also, while we have this plot or this trial getting unraveled to us, we also get these tensions between certain characters. Like obviously number 10, who's being like a super bigot racist, obviously doesn't bode well with number 11 and number 5, because we hear that number 5 lived in the slums, and right after number 10 is like, oh, the slums is just a breeding, no, every child from the slums is a real piece of trash or whatever. And then
and then number 5 is just immediately, it's like, well, wait a minute, you know, hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
I lived in a slum all my life, you know, and then we see, you know, the reincorporation of like the value of his different life experiences, that he knows more about the switchblade knife that was used to in the murder. Observations about how it would have been used, and so like that's just kind of like highlighting one of the problems with like number 10 is that this rigidity in the mindset. That there is actually value to be extracted from these different perspectives.
Yeah.
But you see it manifest through those clashes, like because you see it with number 6 and his whole thing of like respect for the elderly. Every time, like when 10 and later on when 3, they just keep like shitting on him. You know, he just standing up like, you got to show more respect, mister. You know, like you know, why are you talking to an old man like that? And then sit down and then listening very attentively. And you see that, and it's just these it's these really cool ways of adding just a little bit more of a layer to the character, because I think all the characters are pretty straightforward. Like they're not super complicated, but they're incredibly well realized for what they are.
Absolutely.
And even within that, you know, you have the elements of number 6. He's salt of the earth, very very matter of fact speaking, like you know, simple, like a straightforward, simple guy. But then you just have the little element of like, oh, the number 9 wants to talk. All right, I'm gonna like scoop my chair over. I'm gonna lean in. I'm gonna be very attentive. I'm not gonna break. I'm not gonna break. I'm just gonna pay close attention to what he's saying. And you can glean that from the other characters in terms of how much they're paying attention, who they're looking at, who they're talking to. You know, at every moment there's it's certainly a clear example, I think, in this film of like consistency. The characters always behave as you would expect them to, given what you know about them.
Exactly. What I really liked about number 4 is the way he uses the words, because while he's saying, it's like, oh yeah, we all know the slums are basically a breeding ground for criminal upbringings, and there's a potential that they're being a menace to society. It's like, potentially, like he doesn't generalize. Like he's very well aware there's also good people coming out of the slums, but obviously number 10 doesn't realize that. He only hears, oh, he's on my side, like I'm just gonna jump in there and
Hmm.
just tell it all the children out there are trash. And then 5 is obviously, as I said already, is like,
There are
oh,
definitely a
stop.
few instances of that. Yeah, what you've just said, where like 4 will say something and he's clearly going somewhere else, but then some other person runs away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 absolutely relies on 4 a lot. He'll be like, "Yeah, see there," he explained it, and then later on, he's just getting really frustrated. He's like, "Tell him, will you?" It's like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
you need him. You really need him to make your points. Otherwise, you struggle way more to actually get your points across."
Yeah, yeah. And when 4 realizes, oh, he has nothing to stand on anymore, he's like, yeah, no, I'm convinced, not
No,
guilty.
he
And then
he
3 is like,
immediately
what?
cedes.
Why? Like, you were my.
I have a reasonable doubt now.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, he just cedes immediately once his mind is changed. It's not personal for him.
yeah. He's just there
Um,
to, well,
do the
get to the
job.
ground of it and get to the truth.
Yeah,
Because he
exactly.
completely engages in the whole, I guess, experiment, you can tell it, that 8 does.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, where were you yesterday, the day after? And like 3, I think 3 just yells and is like, what does that mean? Like, why are you talking to us? Like, and Forrest is like, no, it's fine, it's fine. Let me hear him out. Like, he might be
yeah.
onto something. And then he realizes like, oh yeah, shit, I don't remember, and I wasn't under stress.
He's very reasonable. He is incredibly reasonable, and I think that's, despite the fact that he is an opposing force, it just makes him easy to like.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not sure why you would dislike him. He's trying his hardest. He's arguing in good faith.
absolutely.
Um,
And
I
every time
and so
every time he gets asked like, what, why are you still, why don't you have a doubt yet? It's like, oh, because I still have this evidence, which is very, very strong. And I think the movie's
yeah.
deliberate about the way they unravel those testimonies and put them together, because I think they go from the lowest one up to the strongest one, which is the one that the woman across the street or on the other side of the railroad,
Other side of the train, yeah,
yeah, outside the
with
train,
her
saw
glasses.
him and said like, yeah, I definitely saw the boy, and he did the stabbing like from over the top of his head, I think it was, and straight down.
So yes, that's she saw it through the passing windows of the train.
Mm,
And I think it was deliberate in the film that they left that one to last because it's like, man, that one's really tough, like
exactly, yeah.
to try and poke a hole through. But the only reason that we think it's really tough at first is because of the lack of information that has been registered, and specifically, it's number 9 who notices when 4 keeps rubbing his nose. It's like, oh, that's your glasses did that. They made these deep impressions on the side of your nose, and then he realizes that the woman had the same ones. And I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of that is because one of the things that is talked about in the film, especially by number 8, is like, oh, the defense was actually like pretty shit. Um, he didn't get a very good defense. There weren't a lot of these observations made, and so in a certain sense, number 8 is almost taking the role of like a defense attorney,
Yeah.
trying to present counter arguments in defense of the accused.
Yeah, I think it's actually
Um,
important to bring up about number 8. Like in the beginning, he just starts with, you know what? I'm not sure. He might be. It looks like he's guilty, but then he starts slowly, like, oh, like the defense attorney was like appointed, and he didn't really do
he
much.
didn't give a was the implication.
Yeah,
He
he didn't
was
give a
he either he didn't care or he didn't have the resources to put up a very strong defense. And
Yeah.
then there's also just other things that were talked about, like that the kid was mistreated or mishandled
Mm-hmm.
during the arrest. That that like a lot of the stuff that was being held against him, it was a little bit unfair.
Yeah.
And just the general thing of like, you got to give him a chance, like he deserves a chance to defend
Yeah.
himself.
At least I think he said we should at least give him some, like an hour or some words and think about it before we just send him to the chair. Uh, but yeah, because H just doesn't really start that strong, because obviously everyone is against
No,
him. Uh,
he,
but
he
as
just
soon
wants
as
to
he
talk.
realizes he might be onto something, and he gets the support from number 9, which gets like the
Yeah,
ball rolling.
that's
Because
that was a gamble.
yeah, because he proposes like, okay, let's do another vote. Let's do them in secret. I'm gonna abstain because you all know I'm saying not guilty, obviously. Uh, you do you make some ballots. You're gonna go through them, and then they go like guilty, 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 and then not guilty.
Yeah, it was the gamble.
Yeah,
It's like Nine said, he was gambling for support and he gave it to him. Because number nine at this point was still like, he's probably guilty, but I wanna talk about it a bit more.
exactly. Yeah,
Um, and I mean, the discussion does come up a couple of times in the film of like, what if what if you talk us out of it? Like he's actually guilty and you've talked
yeah,
us out of it. But that's kind of not the point. Like that's not really the point of the. I mean, that's a conversation to be had. But really, the point of like eight's existence is we are very quick to condemn somebody
exactly.
without diving into it more, without thinking about what the counter arguments are, without really giving him a chance. And that's all he wants. That's all number eight really wants, is to give him a chance. Of course, as the conversations go on and more stuff begins to come up, he becomes more convinced of essentially the stance.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, no, I actually don't agree. Like, I think he's like not guilty. And of course, because you kind of need to remind people this: not guilty doesn't mean he didn't do it. It means that it wasn't proven to a standard that is suitable.
Exactly.
Um, and I know part of the discussion on the film that comes up is like how I think there is conversation about whether or not it actually meets the threshold of not guilty,
Hmm.
like properly if you're following the process. But again, like it's worthwhile to remember that juries make decisions. Like juries make decisions, and whatever decision they make is ultimately final. And like juries will make decisions on grounds that are not like 100% perfectly legally awesome,
Yeah.
because juries are comprised of like regular people, not people who are highly versed in the legal system and the process. And in terms of the broader observations that the film is making about prejudice, bias, all of those still hold true. Like whether or not
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
ultimately, like that's like one of the points, right? Three's reasoning was shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
His reasoning was entirely rooted in the fact that he had a really bad relationship with his son.
Yeah.
It was entirely personally motivated, and you need to be careful about that when you enter into a situation like this where your decision has real consequences for somebody. And of course,
Exactly.
Juror 10, hyper bigoted, so he's not really interested in talking about it at all. And then Juror 7 is apathy. He doesn't care and he's not invested when he really ought to be. Number 12 is an example of like the guy he's just indecisive, he can't figure it out. And so he's easily manipulated. I feel like manipulated is not because it's not like they did it on purpose. He gets bowled over,
Yeah, because he gets
and then
asked by 3 and 4, like, "What do you think?" It's like, "Oh, I don't know." It's like it's so much
they don't,
evidence
they
to
don't give him a
sift
chance to
through.
answer.
No,
Yeah,
no one really knows. And then he's like the only one who even changes back to guilty.
yeah.
Short
But it's
for a little
entirely because he
time.
got yelled at. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
It's because he got yelled at.
because he got yelled at. Yeah.
Um, and it's and that's and I guess that's the idea, right? Is that when you look at the people who are really resistant towards changing their vote, um, a lot of them represent some sort of problem that people who get selected for these things are absolutely there will be examples of them falling into this. So when you
Hmm.
talk about like the broader themes of the film, of which I think there are many, that would be one of them, is like how does your history inform your conduct in the present. And when you talk about good character writing, and this is something I talked about in the video because I felt like it was really critical,
Hmm.
is when it comes to like creating great characters, um when you have a situation that is playing out in front of them right now, giving them a reason to act in that way is really important, and a lot of that can be derived from very purposefully constructed backstory that informs that. Um, you tell me that number three has a bad relationship with a son, and so it's like, so what? So how does that inform his present conduct? Why is he acting this way? And it's like, well, we've got these reasons, and these reasons stem from the way that he's interpreted past events. And then like you have more subtle stuff like number four. I'm like a stockbroker, that's
Hmm.
my job. As he's sitting there reading a newspaper, it's like, I wonder how him being a stockbroker is going to inform the way that he approaches this situation.
Yeah, and then you figure out
And
he's
and then
super
you
analytical about everything and uses all the
exactly,
info he's got, but he's also willing
but
to take in the other infos the others give him to change his mind.
but maybe even the most important part, he's very analytical. He's not very good at reading people
True. Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
dealing with social situations. That's just out of his focus. So he gets this really good benefit in that he can approach the facts in a very analytical way that is beneficial to the group, I would say. But there are certain observations that he doesn't make, whereas Juror 9 is like very much fixated on people. And I think you get that established really early on. The fact that he identifies that number 8, that was a gambit, that vote.
Yeah.
That was something he clearly is not comfortable with stopping. But number 9 picks up on that and then gives him the support. And then you see, I think the next instance in the film is like, why would the old man who claimed to get to the door and see the kid run down the stairs, why would he lie about that? And then number 9's like, maybe for attention.
Yeah.
And then, like 3 and other people like, what? You just coming in with all this bullshit. Like, the fuck you saying? But then once he's given an opportunity to speak, he's like, well, yeah, because of course, he's an old man.
Yeah.
We've seen that there hasn't been much interest in listening to what he's had to say from a lot of people.
Yeah.
But of course, as it goes on, we get more and more of an interest. Like, look at how this guy was dressed. He was hiding like the limp. He was walking like with shame. It's really sad to like be nothing, and that nobody comes to you when you're this old and you have this much experience. Nobody seeks your wisdom. I wonder what that might lead you to see or think that you saw. And it's like, fuck, that's a really important observation.
Yep.
that you wouldn't have had if you didn't have this character who you've established and seen through his actions that he is just really observant.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that pays off at the end of the film when he makes an observation that is critical to the case.
Exactly, yeah.
That's just good shit, man.
It's really good shit, yeah.
That's really good writing.
Really good. Yeah, they an 8 even proves, or quote unquote proves, like sanity checks, I should say. Like, does it even make sense that the old man got to the door in 15 seconds while he's limping and also had a stroke last year? It's like, And then you wonder, man, how should I know? Like, I don't know how big his flat is. But then the movie is like, haha, hold on. I got something for you.
They have the map, the diagram.
They have the diagram. I'm just gonna pop that up here real quick.
Yeah.
Because I got screenshots and everything.
Yes.
There you go. Why is that so small? What is happening? I don't know why that's so small. That's weird. Hang on. I'll resize it. That's fine. There you go. It's not ideal, but it should do the trick for now. Because as you can see on the top right, that's the bedroom. That's where the old man apparently was lying. And they say he saw the boy running down in the hallway because he heard
running down the stairs.
Did he hear the argument or no? He heard the body.
He heard the body hit the floor,
and then
exactly. He claims he immediately got up and went to the door and then saw the kid running down the stairs. He says that he did that in about 15 seconds and that's meant to line up, right? Like, that's how long it would take for an able-bodied person to do that.
Yeah.
To run down the stairs so that he could line up. But when Juror 8 sets up and basically tries to make a distance that's equivalent to the distance from the bedroom to the front door with the diagram, they identify that it actually probably took him about 41 seconds to get to the door.
Yeah.
So he went to the door as fast as he could, and he thought, and he assumed that it was the kid running down the stairs.
There you go. That's a way better picture.
To which number 3 then yells like "assumed," and then gets into another argument again.
Yeah.
And then we have a really important, earlier on in the film, Juror 3 is like, because they talk about like, people say things when they get mad, like that they don't actually mean. It's like, no, a guy says he's gonna, I'm gonna kill you. He means it.
Yeah,
and then
the boy was screaming at the top of his lungs, like
exactly.
He totally meant that.
Number 8 makes the observation, like, ever since you got in here, you've been acting like a self-appointed public avenger. You want to see this kid die because you personally want it, not because of the facts. you're a sadist, and then
Yeah.
number 3 launches at him, I'll kill him, and it's like, you don't really
You don't
mean you'll
really.
kill me, do you? And it's like,
Yeah. Oh
ooh.
man, when he did that, I was like, "Fuck yeah."
Yeah, it's pretty cathartic. It's
Yeah.
pretty goddamn cathartic because it's just like, ooh, that sucks for you, dude. Like
Yeah, it really did.
you really botched that one. Um, yeah, no, it's that's just really good. I guess the thing is like, oh, do you think that's amazing reincorporation? It's like maybe not amazing, but like it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because of course you can do it a little bit more subtly than that, but again, it's a matter of the first time around. You don't have a lot of the you don't know where it's going to go, so
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it feels really meaningful the first time around, and then the second time around, it's like, oh god damn, it was like that clear that how they were setting it up.
Yeah. It's
Um,
second watch through, especially if you have everything still in your mind, is it's very rewarding because you pick up on all the small details that are happening. Like even number 8, when he first enters this room, he just stares out the window thinking about this, just basically not even there
yeah,
mentally. Like he needs to get called
yeah,
to the table. It's like, oh, gentleman on the window. He might start. He's like, oh yeah, sorry, because he's still thinking about what he's gonna do about this because he clearly doesn't think this is going the right way with everyone thinking it's guilty.
yeah. It's it's just really good stuff in terms of just setting up uh the dynamic right at the beginning, and then seeing how it shifts towards the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just a
Bup, bup, bup.
lot of good stuff.
Yeah. If you couldn't tell already by now, go watch this movie. It's really good.
Yes.
Just want to throw that in there in between because man, this I was very impressed with that movie. Like I was very happy, very happy with that movie.
Yeah, like even knowing what happens in the film, I'd still recommend people go watch it. Like I think you still get a lot
Yeah.
from watching it.
What do you think? What do you think this movie would hold up today if you would show it today's audience? Because I think it wouldn't. I think a lot of people would
Uh
think it's boring.
Fuck, that would be really disappointing. I,
That's something that I thought about while I was watching. It's like, man, this is really good, but I don't think people would be into this.
well, funnily enough, the film didn't do that well when it first came out.
Really? Oh, okay.
I think it made its money back, but it didn't do like exceptionally well. But now it's a film that like many people have seen. Um, I think it's because one of the things I really like about the film is I feel like it extols the value in I would say bottle episodes, but of course we have bottle movies, we have bottle stories, but
Mm.
a story that has a limited set of characters in like one place on a very hyper specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the reason why it's valuable in that regard is like, what this story ain't that big. It's really not. But yet it is a whole feature length film, and when
Yep.
you watch it, this film flies by like
Yeah.
goddamn, does it fly by quick. But yet when you finish it, you feel like you've got an incredibly well rounded story that didn't waste any time at all. It doesn't feel bloated. It doesn't feel like they buffed it up to get to
Mm.
the end. Um, there is nothing that I would cut, and at the same time, I'm not sure that there's much more that I would want to add because I feel like they turned over every stone.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I feel the
and I
same.
guess the question of as for like would this film succeed? I don't know whether it would succeed, but I would certainly think and hope that it would get recognized for being great.
Okay.
Because well, in the same way that the father is like that's a story that is set in a limited location about a very
Yeah.
specific subject, a very limited cast of characters, and that film got recognized for being great. So yeah,
Right. That's how
I
we.
think that
That's basically how we found it because thing. I'm just blanking
Anthony
on
Hopkins won the
the Oscar.
Oscar
Yeah.
that year, and everybody was talking about it. So I
It's
think
like
that was what prompted us to watch it.
yeah. Which was a good thing because that
Goddamn.
is another excellent movie.
Yeah, that film is excellent. I guess that's the interesting thing is like if you told me, well, which movie do you think is better? I think I probably would say The Father. I think The
Mm.
Father's got more layers to it.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, but at that point we get into the discussion about like what's separating these really great films. But I do think that 12 Angry Men is like a really fantastic example to point to of great character writing. I think
Absolutely.
if I
Absolutely.
think if you want a clear idea of like what it is that you should be doing in terms of creating characters, setting them up, and having them interact with each other, it's like this is a really good place to learn it from.
Yeah, because you don't only get the things they say and how they react. You also get like the things they do while they're not talking,
Yep.
just in the background. Like Seven constantly looking at the watch. 3 and 12 at some point just starting to play some tic tac toe, and they just goes like in there. This is not a game, and just takes away their
Yep.
paper. And
The
three is like
nerve.
aghast, like how dare
Yeah.
you? It's like, man, you clearly don't care what he has to say. And 12 just plays along. I don't think he has any. He's not doing it like
He is playing too because he's just not engaged.
yeah, because he can't
Um.
grasp what's happening really. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Uh. I think that that is him. He's it's hard for him to engage with this subject.
yeah. Yeah, there's lots of little details. I think if I would watch it a third time and a fourth time, I would still find new stuff and new stuff and new stuff, because
Possibly, yeah.
so many little things just in the background. Uh, like
Yeah,
it's
it's
very nicely conveyed to the viewer, but you can also find a lot of small details if you look really closely, because you
yeah,
get
I
everything
yes.
because you get everything you need, but you can get even more if you want to. Is probably what I want to say.
Yeah, I think so because I think that I'm not sure that everybody's gonna notice everything. Because I mean, you know, this is a film you need to watch like at least twice, I think, to get. But then again, I would say that about a lot of films. Like a lot of films, you will get a lot out of watching it multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this is just a clear example of like, man, you could miss a lot. You really could. You could really miss a lot if you're not paying super close attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh,
God damn, that'd be a loss. You know, you'd miss out.
yeah. So I guess another thing, because number 10 at some point basically goes on like a bigoted, racist rant, uh, and we get this shot at some point while he's
Yep.
trying to explain himself. Because I think this is when only 3 people are left. I think it's only 4, 3, and 10 who still say guilty at this point.
And 12, I think, had just flipped. No, wait. No. You're right. You're
Okay.
right. It was only 3 of them left. 12 flips later.
Yeah,
Because this is just before they talk about the woman with the glasses.
exactly. And he basically goes like on a rant, it's like, oh, they're all wild people, and they're born liars, and they don't even know what the truth is, and one by one they get up, and turn their back on him basically, or just
Yeah.
look away. Like 7 is looking another direction. I think 5 is the first one who gets up and goes all the way to the corner. Then 11 right next to him. So basically, in the order that where they are most affected by his rant, I guess, because
Yeah.
we get the immigrants and the people in the slums first
That's
going
right.
away, and then one after another they just walk away from him. He just doesn't understand what's happening. He's like, oh, I'm just trying to tell you. And then he's doing the things like, oh, there are some good ones. I'm the first one to
Yeah.
admit it. It's like,
That's right.
but that's not the thing. Like, they're all bad people and born bad. It's like, oh man,
Well,
this is
yeah, he as he goes on, he starts getting more because he you know, as everybody starts walking away, it's like, wait, what's happening? You're not listening to me, and he's starting to get really docile. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's basically just that's the point, right? You're taking the wind out of his sails. He can't fucking say anything because
yeah.
nobody's listening to him.
And
He's got nothing to say.
and the only one who's still looking at him is number 4. And and I think he just says, "Oh, listen to me." And number 4 just goes ahead and says, "I have," and now sit down and don't open your mouth again.
And don't open your mouth
I was
again.
like,
Yeah,
damn,
it's done,
great.
and he never does. He doesn't open his mouth again because
Yeah.
he's got nothing to say.
Yeah.
I mean, it is definitely one of those quintessential, "Hey guys, racism's really fucking bad." Like
Yeah,
it's definitely one of those quintessential film moments of this is really bad. Don't do this.
yeah. Even number
Um,
three, who has like a personal vendetta, it's not because of race; it's because of
I think
his.
that's a really important part as
Yeah,
well in humanizing three and making him a lot
exactly.
more a lot easier to sympathize with. Is like, yeah, but he's not racist though. Like
Yeah,
he's
he's.
not. Even he recognizes like, nah, fuck you. This is not right. Um, I think that's really really valuable. And one thing I like as well is that even though Seven is really apathetic, even he turns away. Like
Yeah, even
he
he's
doesn't
like,
get up to do it, but even he's like, nah, fuck that. I ain't listen to this shit.
yeah, yeah,
Um, I do really like this scene. It's
yeah. What do you think of
it's one
this?
of them really.
The what it ends in? Like, I I almost felt like it feels out of place because it's like hyper symbolic. Like I don't,
Yeah,
you know what I
which
mean?
part? Sorry.
Like just the picture on screen where it ends, like just
Oh,
where they all face away, because it feels like hyper symbolic and almost
absolutely.
unfitting. I don't know if I would say I don't know. I liked it, but it felt like weird. Like it felt like it belongs into another movie who does more symbolic stuff. I don't
Um,
know. I don't know how to explain it really. What I was thinking there.
I think I can kind of see what you're getting at, but
Yeah.
I think that it is like this is a really important moment to punctuate that like
Yeah. Yeah.
it is he's just being what choice do you have here if you're just because ultimately all of them like make the decision. It's just like I'm not gonna like nah we're just gonna let you talk and then you'll stop and he does
Yeah. He does.
just by ignoring him. um I think it's I guess like if you think about those characters in the moment, it's like yeah, what do you do? Just don't look at him, turn your back on him, walk away. Like
Yeah.
just don't say anything. Especially once you start noticing like that it's really working.
Yeah. It's really working
I,
really well. Yeah.
I think it works totally fine.
Yeah, it's just when I was looking at it, just at this still for a moment, it's like this feels like kinda out of place, but it's so short when it ends. Like, not it works. Like, it works really well. I just looked at the
I think
picture itself, it's like, huh.
maybe the picture, but when it's all happening in motion, I think it matches
Yeah, absolutely, because they all get up one by one and they go to different
exactly.
places.
And
Uh,
they all get up, like you said, at moments that are relevant to
mhm.
when they would want to get up and leave. He says something that pisses them off personally, or it's just like, nah, I've had enough, and then just walk away.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, just something that came into my mind when I watched this. Like, oh, that's kind of
Yeah,
cool,
fair
but
enough.
that's still just kind of stuck in my mind. It's like, this feels weird, but yeah, as you said, if you just watch it while it's in motion, it works much better. Oh, whoops, I just.
I think it works. Yeah, I think it works really well. But again, I think it's like a powerful image as well.
Oh, absolutely. If you
As
if
its
you know
own
the
thing.
context, like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. Like
Yeah,
that works.
we all know why this is happening. Racism is bad. All right,
And
stop it.
really,
Cut it out. Don't
stop
do
with the
it.
racisms.
Stop. Yeah, exactly.
Have a Pepsi. Stop being racist.
That's right. Do you want to talk about the last scene with juror number 3? Because we haven't talked about that one yet.
Oh, where he gets cornered on his
Yes.
own.
Yeah.
Sure, go for it.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. Uh,
I so do enjoy that scene.
let me see if I can get his angry face on screen for that, because it's
Yeah.
quite quite telling. Because at the end of the movie, like, even number four, his last, I guess, his last bastion of
Lost ally,
defense,
maybe.
his
Yeah.
last ally, uh, says like, no, I'm convinced. I have reasonable doubt now. Uh,
Right. And then
and then
he
they,
says, like, well, what about all the other evidence?
yeah,
To which
it's
Two
like,
points out,
which
you
one?
said we could throw that out. Like it was like you said that you relied on that and it's gone.
There you go.
And
That's a
then,
perfect picture.
yeah, you're right. It's like yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
You're alone. I don't care if I'm alone. It's my right.
it's my right.
Because he at this point wants to. I think he wants to go in with a hung jury because he knows that it's over.
Yeah,
Like
he has nothing to stand on anymore. It's
yeah,
funny because it's like completely reversed now. Like,
it has, yeah.
he's the one who needs to convince them now, and he realized like he has no
Hmm.
chance. because all he
And I mean,
does is
ultimately,
go ahead.
that was his response. That was always the way that it was supposed to work. Is that you're meant to compel. You're meant to be you. It's meant to be proven by prosecution, not the defense. So it actually is his responsibility to prove it to them, but not really his. But if he wants him to be guilty, it needs to be him. But he can't because he's
Hmm.
got nothing. He just rehashes all of the points that have been covered.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, he's got nothing. And he just starts yelling at them about all of it, but nobody's saying anything. They're all looking at him very
Yeah.
dramatically.
And just like, don't
So
you can't intimidate me or stop intimidating me.
yeah,
It's like this is my
he
right.
he he says like, you lousy bleeding hearts, like you're not gonna intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion. Then he
Hmm.
looks down at his wallet. We see a picture of him with his son,
Yeah.
who he's talked about. We saw at the opening of the film, he was looking down at something, probably that picture. We saw earlier that he talked about his son.
Yeah. I think we see. I
Showed
think
a
we see
picture
the
that
picture even.
I don't think we see the picture itself until this scene. We see like what's on the picture. I'm pretty sure we only ever see it, him holding it and showing it to number 8.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure this is the first time that we see the picture. We see it's him with his son, and then he says, "Rotten kid, you work your life out," tears it up, and then immediately breaks down.
Yeah.
Uh,
Breaks down crying and just said,
Says,
"Not
"Not guilty."
guilty." He's not
Yeah,
guilty. It's like, yeah.
we've gotten to the root of it. It's his son. He has a really bad relationship with his son, and it's informed all of this. And then that's it. They all start getting up and leaving, but number 8 grabs 3's jacket and gives it to him,
Yeah.
helps him put it on, and they walk back outside without saying anything to each other. And then we see them end with everybody walking back out. Um, Number 9 runs up to 8 and he's like, "What's your name?" At which point you're like, "Oh yeah, right. We didn't know any of these guys' names."
Davies,
Davis.
Davis.
Yeah. And then I think it's McGargle, I think is
Yeah.
number 9. And then, well, so long.
Well,
And then
so
we see
long.
them all disperse. That's it. They're never going to see each other again, probably.
Yeah.
That was
And
it.
by the way, even when they move away from the building, you can still see their characters. You see Seven in the background just going in a straight line. He just wants to go to his stupid ball game.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
that's right.
they're still keeping characters. Like, man, that's great.
Well,
You see
that's
number
right.
3 like slowly going down,
Slowly.
defeated. It's like
I think contemplative is what I think is
yeah,
how I
yeah.
would
Maybe
describe him.
yeah,
I
defeated maybe
I
not the
think
right word.
I think he's thinking about stuff.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I'm glad that he's getting something out of this
Yeah.
not exactly pleasant experience that you might learn something. But yeah, it's you just see them dispersing as they would to go back to whatever it was that they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Each of them probably never going to see each other again, probably not even going to talk about that case much anymore, but a lot of them are different people because of it. So it's just really really good shit.
It's really good shit, yeah. Absolutely. I think one thing that came up that I was a little bit confused about is when number 1 talks about his coaching. I don't really
Oh,
understood what the point of that was. Maybe you can
I
help me out, but
um
I listened to it twice. I was like, I don't really know why this is here.
I think, like I said earlier, I think 1 is the hardest one for me to figure out because
Yeah.
he probably has the least stuff, and that's like his scene that we get to learn a bit about him. Um, I'm also not sure. That one still eludes me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to, because everything in this film feels so deliberate. I don't want to chalk it up to just, oh well, we learned a bit about him. It's like nah. I feel like there's got to be more to it than that. Maybe there isn't though.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like, let's just tell you a little bit about this guy. It might be that I'm not remembering it quite well either. But yeah, I'm not quite sure about him.
Yeah, because it's
I
basically
do like him.
yeah, yeah. It basically just starts raining, and he just starts talking about how he had like this one kid, and they were in the lead with the points. And then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm a coach for blah 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 school. I can't remember which one. And it's like, oh, and just come raining down, pouring down, and then they continue. Because at some point he was like, oh, I can't remember, it was November or whatever. And it's like, is that like a lead-in that Aid realizes he probably didn't remember the movie because of stress? Because right after we get this, but it doesn't seem to be super tightly connected. So I'm not sure about that one.
I'm not sure either. That's that might be one I have to think about a bit because
Yeah.
I think even when I made the because there's not much because that's usually not a character that you talk about much. But I mean, he's part of the film, and yeah, I'm not quite sure what I think in terms of like what they're specifically going for with that scene.
Yeah.
But I really do feel like there was a point to it.
Yeah, I would say so. That's the only thing I couldn't pinpoint where it leads to. I thought you might
Yeah.
know, but apparently you're not sure as well. So
Yeah, no, I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah. I think another thing I realized on my second watch through, the judge in the beginning, he doesn't seem to give one
He
shit
doesn't seem to give a shit
about
yeah.
everything. He's like, oh yeah, you have the important thing to send this boy to the chair or not. Yeah, it's very important work. You're dismissed. And he just takes a sip of his water. I was like, oh, well, that pretty much represents what 8 has been talking about immediately.
Yeah, kind of. And I mean, because we follow that up as they leave, we see the face of the accused, the kid.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the only other person aside from the judge and the alternatives who we really focus on, even a little bit. I think that was the right choice as well because you sit there, it's like, man, maybe they shouldn't have shown his face. It's like, nah, I think we need to see him.
Yeah.
And we never see him. We don't see him again after that. But I think it's good to put a face to the person, that particular character, because the look on his face is like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I might be screwed here.
Right. Well, yeah, I think that's the look. Is like, god damn, like I'm in serious trouble here. Like it's not looking good.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, there was somebody in there who who wanted to think about it a bit more.
Yeah, good for him, I guess.
I think it's also a reminder. It's like there's people,
It's people here. Because that's like one of his main arguments in the beginning. It's like, yeah, we're talking about a human life here. I don't really want to just go here and just say, yeah, okay, he's guilty. Maybe we should just at least consider some things that I noticed.
And I think that's the thing that puts a lot of ratchets up the tension of the whole movie. Is like, the decision. If he's found guilty, like he's dead. In no uncertain terms, he's going to be executed.
And the movie makes it clear from the get-go. It's like, yeah,
they make it very clear.
First-degree murder, he gets to die. That's mandatory. The judge says, like, yes. Oh shit, okay, that's what we're doing. Gotcha.
Exactly. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what'll happen. And so that just feels like another example of one of those valuable things to learn in terms of telling a story. Just have it be made so clear, like what the consequences are.
Exactly. Yeah, do you got anything else? Because I think unless we talk about specific scenes, which I don't really want to give away.
Yeah,
I mean, if you have like something specific, you have in mind.
I know I talked about it a bit in the video, but Juror 11's confrontation with Seven, I really enjoyed that. And I think it was an important it was an important thing to show.
Yeah, because Seven just goes like,
he just switches his vote.
I guess I have to break this up. I'll change to not guilty. And 11 goes like, why? Like, that was interesting because even 3 was like, wait, why? And it's like, okay, of course he would ask it. But then 11 goes like, yeah, why? Give us a reason. It's like, oh, no, I just don't think he's guilty. It's like, that's not a reason.
That's one of the important things with 11, right? Because earlier on when he was voting guilty, and it's a fun parallel, right? Like where earlier on it's like, why are you making arguments? Like I thought you're on my side. And he's like, I don't feel like my vote for one side or another precludes me from talking about these things. I'm just asking questions. It's like, yep, that's his approach. Mm-hmm. And then when he changes his vote, he says like, I don't have to explain myself to you. He does basically say that. So it's funny that he would then be like, no, you do have to explain yourself to me. But the reason why is because Juror 11 doesn't feel like he needs to explain himself because he's actually trying to engage here.
Yeah.
Like he's not fucking around. But of course, Juror 7 doesn't give a shit. So it's like, yeah, who gives you the right to play with a man's life like this? Like, you vote the way that you believe. Don't vote just because you want to get out of here. Like, do you not have the guts to stand up for what's right? And I mean, this is a very polite guy, so the fact that he's willing to get this confrontation, it was like, man, you've really,
You really upset
yeah,
him.
you've really, yeah, exactly. You've really pissed him off, understandably so, because yeah, fuck you doing, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's all we get
Um,
from 7. He just changes, and I think that's it for number 7 at this point,
yeah,
right?
because he doesn't have a reason, and he
Yeah.
never did. He just wants to go home.
Yeah, he just
He
wants to go
doesn't care.
home, go to his ball game.
Yeah. And maybe because of course it'll be like, well, so he doesn't really change as a person. It's like, nah, I don't think
No,
so.
I don't think he does.
Um, but I mean, that's gonna happen, right? Like, not everybody's gonna pull from this experience something that a value that changes them.
Exactly.
No, yeah, I think any delving into it deeper would just be like specifically going over certain scenes that are
Yeah, yeah.
in detail that you might, at this point you've already heard a lot, but I would still recommend watch. I mean, of course, I'd recommend watching it if you knew the whole film
Yeah, same.
without having seen it. God damn, it's a great movie.
It's a really great movie. Let's see. Let's look at chat here. I think chat has just been patiently listening to our conversation.
Yeah.
My school did a play based off the movie. They won first place in the district. Really good. Oh, that's nice. That's cool.
That's neat.
That's a good idea.
Because
actually.
it is a stage play, or it started as a television play, I think, like televised play, and then it got adapted to film, and now it's on stage as well.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean this could work very well on a stage because it's
Absolutely.
basically just 2 rooms they move in, except the courtroom in the beginning and the exit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can totally see that. That's good stuff. Uh, so you're telling the film is woke? Shut up.
Ah,
Is racism that bad, Kappa? you all bad persons. Just watched 12 Angry Men a few weeks ago. Found it to have one of, if not the best character work I've ever seen. Amazing chance your lovely masses are covering it now. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good
Yep.
stuff. I could totally see
yeah.
people seeing this as one of the best character works I've seen. I mean, it's definitely up there for me.
Yeah, super
I-
strong.
Because as I said, they're not complex characters, but they're all very well executed. It's good stuff. Didn't Family Guy have an episode based on this? I don't know.
Maybe.
Do you know this? I mean, I don't doubt it. Family Guy is like everything.
Oh, I think Family Guy had a thing based on. No, I'm not sure that they did. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay. Prefer the parts that have the contrasting views of 5 and 10. The climax of everyone ignoring 10 was great for so many reasons, of which it would take ages to describe. Yeah, it's good. It's good shit. It's real good stuff. So what's the rain scene? It seems like number 1 is relating the trial to one of his star players. His star player was robbed of one of his best games because it suddenly started raining, hence murder. The jury could murder this kid, something like that. Oh yeah, I could see that. That makes sense.
Like a parallel
Yeah,
to
just a parallel.
what the rain does versus like murder is just snuffing out a person's life for potential to. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, that sounds interesting. I think that could be very well it. That's probably at least the best explanation I've heard so far and seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, only joined 20 minutes ago and haven't seen the movie, so expect the usual stupid stuff I say. Oh, well, yeah, okay. It's a good character movie. Absolutely, it's good.
Yep.
Just makes me sad for the present.
A little bit.
Because we have 12 actual characters here. And movies and series these days struggle with 2. And if they can't,
Well, yeah, I mean, you see that with like Marvel stuff right now.
Or they just go ahead and destroy one of the characters that has been pretty well characterized and just destroy it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes from, like, I guess, a failure to recognize the impact of certain decisions that a character make and how they impugn their character.
Yeah, and also the problem is like so many people who don't have a lot of writing credit already getting all these big ass movies.
That's the surprising one. Like, you know, how many things have you written for like one show? All right, here you get to be the lead writer for like a whole
Yeah.
series. I
Here,
don't
have
get
this
that.
billion-dollar project. Have fun. You wrote one thing. Uh,
And of course, it's not like that is like destined because, of course, you know, everybody's got their first thing that they write. I guess it's just
sure.
surprising as all.
Yeah, I wouldn't give my $1 million project to someone who has not a lot of writing credit, or at least,
Mm.
or at least if that person has one writing credit, I want
It's
to make
like
sure it's a
really
really,
exceptional.
really
Yeah.
exceptionally good.
Then again, I think because that's I think the lead writer for She-Hulk was on Rick and Morty. I think she wrote
Which
Pickle
part of Rick
Rick.
and Morty?
I think she wrote the Pickle Rick episode. So
Okay,
it's a good
so
episode.
it's one of the
Yeah.
good episodes. If it
So
was from,
but again, I guess the question is like, how much influence do you have on
yeah,
these
yeah,
decisions? Like, how much is Marvel involved? I don't
exactly.
know.
I'm also annoyed that I've almost forgotten the characters of 6 and 12. It's been 4 weeks, so I might rewatch. I mean, 6 and 12 are mostly some of the ones who
Six
are not
is pretty
very.
straightforward.
Yeah, 6 pretty. He's like a working man. He respects the elderly. Uh, and yeah, 12 is. I mean, we said in the beginning. Hard to
12 is a bit
pinpoint
harder to pin down.
because he
Yeah.
probably just doesn't understand or can put together the things that are laid out for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's probably something to mention. After I watched the movie, I could tell you about every character. I could tell you at least one thing. Like it was very easy for me to memorize what characters these people were, even though they don't have any names.
Yeah.
You could I
No,
could probably
I
not
think
tell
that's
you if in 4 weeks it would go number 5. What did he do? I probably had to think about it. I don't know if my memory is that great, but after
I
watching
think
this movie two days in a row, I could
yeah.
probably tell you everything or most of the people. No, I could tell you something about everyone for sure.
I think for me the reason why I still can is probably because I did the video. So it's like
Yeah,
I had to spend a decent amount of time thinking about all this and working on it. So pretty ingrained in my memory at this
yeah.
point. But who knows? Give it a year, maybe we'll see.
Can we talk about The Godfather next? That one I've seen. Hey, I told you a week
I
before
haven't
what
seen
you
The
need to
Godfather
watch.
in a long time.
Also, I think the next movie I'm gonna watch is probably gonna be a poopy one because I watched like 3 good movies in a row.
So you gotta watch the shit one to,
So
to
let's see.
bridge the gap.
Reminds me of classic Twilight Zone, such a great show and great writing. And that
I need
newest
to watch more of the
reboot with
Twilight
that
Zone.
one guy. I don't remember if it's Key or Peele. Was fucking
I
terrible
think it is
garbage.
key. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I
But
don't know what's up.
I need to watch the Twilight Zone more because I've only seen parts of it in a couple episodes.
I've never seen anything about it because I'm a terrible human being.
I think it's the thing of like it's another one of those you will be exposed to aspects of it if you just are alive and exist because it was such an influential show.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That was what the Scary Door and Futurama was based on, obviously.
Peele is a subpar writer. He has ideas, but he doesn't think them through all the way. That happens a lot, I feel like.
Well, he's difficult, I think, for me to hone in on because then again, I've only seen Get Out. I didn't see the other one that I hear is like a lot like really bad. Because when I first watched Get Out, I thought it was great. And obviously I've since changed my mind on that. But I mean, yeah, because the idea for Get Out is pretty cool. I think it's a really good high concept, but I don't think it's executed super well.
Yeah, don't forget about McGarble. 12 was a challenge to recall it. We forgot everything about him. Not bad writing, just among even better characters. Yeah. I was about to say something and I forgot again because I'm stupid.
No.
Oh right, it's funny how many parallels are between wrestling writers and like actual writers. Because there's a lot of wrestling story writers who have a lot of good ideas, but they need a filter to
Right,
sift
because
out the
wrestling is
poopy.
written. It is a story.
Yeah, because it's just interesting to see. That might be worth a video one day. Just doing
The writing of like WWE.
This fucking horseshit. WWE is horseshit, at least these days. But yeah, just in general wrestling. Could be
Right.
interesting just to parallel and
That could be interesting,
and maybe
honestly.
just
Yeah, that
explain
sounds.
why I like wrestling so much.
That I think that's a good idea,
Yeah,
actually. Yeah.
because I guess the short version is probably I because wrestling is basically its own universe. I see it like as its own universe where certain
Right.
rules apply, like in a movie, pretty much.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a little
But
bit of a fantasy world
I think
almost.
where it gets contorted a lot is because they see, oh, there's a ring, so it's a contest, a real contest. Like, no, the ring is basically the stage for the performers. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's could be interesting in the future to do to make a video about that. Uh,
Wrestling is like I find it funny just that it's basically like a stage play.
yeah, pretty much. But they do, yeah. I love the Twilight Zone. Are you too serious? You gotta watch more. I don't need to do anything. Shut up.
I will watch more at some stage.
Classic stuff is amazing. US is shit. I miss Stone Cold Steve Austin like wrestling because of buff men and women. Yeah. Shit they do these days is insane. Because I mean, I've been watching wrestling since I was a kid, like because of my dad. He showed me to it.
Hmm.
Like the way it changed. It's like, man, it's interesting. It's much
I
more
remember I
accurate.
watched a bit when I was younger,
Hmm.
like but that was before I knew it was fake.
I mean, when I was really young, I thought it was real, but I pretty quickly I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
But I
obviously it's fake.
still like it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's whether or not it's fake or real, it's entertaining,
Absolutely, absolutely.
and
Uh,
it's also
yeah,
really impressive, I guess, as well. Just like the level of athleticism that is still required to make something look real that isn't,
yeah.
to make it look like you're hitting each other when you're not.
Also considering that WWE does like 3 hour live shows every week, and
Yeah, holy
considering
shit.
how well it all goes together, like from a production standpoint, it's like insanely impressive.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I saw a video once where they showed the production truck how they do it, and they basically just yell out, "Camera here, there, these." I need to find that video. And I don't know, maybe want to tweet it out or something because it's like insane. It's like
I've no
insane how they
doubt.
do it. Like there's like a production truck. There's like 10, 12 people in there, and there's one guy who just yells out which camera needs to go on and go here, zoom out. It's like, damn. It's
Yeah.
like fuck. That's really impressive.
Wow. Yeah, the amount of coordination and everything, the fact that it's all live and happening, like
Mm.
that's fucking nuts.
Half the moves they do would kill a person. Yeah, if you would just pile drive someone for real without protecting them, it's just goodbye neck.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that covers the movie pretty much.
I think so.
Go watch it. Everything
Absolutely.
else would be just certain scenes. Uh, see how they go. Just go watch the film. Really, I think we hit the most important parts for sure.
Yeah.
It was good stuff. Absolutely. Also, yeah, we mentioned earlier, Fringy did a video on it. Go, I'll put
Oh
it
yeah,
in.
if you want to watch that, that is
Yeah, I'll
yeah.
put it in the comments. I'll put it here in the chat as well. Go do the watchings. It's a good video, very good video. I'll put it in the comments
Thank you.
below on the YouTubes. And maybe just to close out, maybe just some info how this is gonna go in the future. The idea is I'm gonna live stream this on the other YouTube channel where I do my media stuff. That's where this is gonna go in the future. I just didn't have time to set up the stream for the other channel because I just haven't had the time. Also, still looking for a name for this, which should be coming to a close pretty soon. So the name should be decided next week. The idea was, or still is, to get the recommendations. I think my chatbot has been, at least should have posted the link to the tweet I put out, but I just gotta put it in here again as well. I'm not gonna. This is just for the chat live right now because it's probably gonna be decided when this go. No, wait. I'm still gonna put it in the comments under this video because it should be out on Sunday. Because obviously I have to wait 24 hours to make it go live from Twitch.
Upload. Yeah.
But that won't be a problem in the future because, as I said, I'm gonna just put this on the YouTube channel immediately. So I just have it there because right now I need to download it, export it, put it up on the other channel, cut it, and all that stuff. Yeah, that's the idea. As soon as I have a name, I'm gonna commission some stuff so I get a proper layout. Because right now this is pretty makeshift, just a background and my face. And the Discord. I'll probably won't be using the webcam in the future because I don't really think it adds a whole lot. I'm not sure. I might commission one where I have a webcam and one without, and just gonna experiment with it. I think that's the idea, and just have a layout somewhere where the chat goes, and well, similar when we talk over on EFAB about the movie. Just so I can put something on a little screen with a copyright protection in front of it, so there's something, I guess, moving on the screen, because right now it's just all very still and kind of boring.
Yeah, good idea.
But yeah, we were just gonna experiment with this because I want to keep this up because this has been fun. It's obviously probably gonna change a bunch here and there in the format. As you could tell, I used you as a little experiment, Fringy, with the little interview section in the beginning, pretty much.
Yeah, no, I figured. Yeah.
I think that worked pretty well. I think it was pretty fun just to get the conversation going.
Yeah, I think you can do that. I guess the question will be like, if you're talking to somebody you've already spoken to before extensively, how much you want to,
Obviously, I won't be
cover.
doing that when we do this again. Like, I won't ask the same questions. Probably just some normal banter like we do. But yeah, and obviously there's going to be, when I'm doing this alone, I'm going to see, maybe I'm just going to do like a little update what I'm doing or whatever. I'm not sure yet how exactly it's going to do, but this was just like a little idea with some feedback from Mahler as well.
You can absolutely figure it out as you go. I think.
I mean, this was like,
should be comfortable.
As that head over heels, Mahler recommends like, maybe you could do this, and it's like, you know what, I'm just gonna try it
and give it a shot. Yeah.
And so far, I'm having fun. I'm just trying to get better at it because I noticed it was like, especially when I'm doing it alone, there's like some gaps in there where I don't say anything. So I get better at this. Make better notes is basically the idea. Which well, now I still have notes left over. Like I took a fuck ton of notes for like different scenes if it comes up with like timestamps and all that stuff. And yeah, the idea is to make this like a weekly thing for sure. Sometimes alone, sometimes with guests. Probably more alone for the get-go, just to get better at it.
Yeah.
But right now just lined up like the I Am Mother one. This one we just recently watched with Mahler, so it's like, let's just talk about it because we haven't really talked about it anywhere, so might as well try this. And then I wanted to watch this movie for months already, but it's never came about.
Yeah, and that's like, better time than any, right?
Just gonna do it now and do more stuff with this. Yeah, I think that about covers it. But yeah, I'm gonna tweet out when the channel, when I do this on the other channel. I might even do like a little notification on my archive channel because the media channel is like way smaller because there was obviously no content on there. Like nothing happened there.
Yeah, so get people over there.
So maybe just do like a little intro video. It's like, hey, I'm doing this there tomorrow or like in 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, seems like a good idea.
That's probably what's gonna happen. I don't know how fast the commission is gonna go. I have no idea how fast people work on this, but I'll make work with what I have for now. It's pretty important to me that it doesn't look like another EFAB. I want to have like a distinct branding. I would say, which depends on the name that's gonna be decided on. Because I just don't want the people's like, oh look, his metal, he's on EFAB, now he's doing his own EFABs. Like that's not what I'm going for.
Well, yeah, it's just making something new. That's definitely important.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's that for that. This is where we say goodbye to the people. Yeah, Freddy, thanks for hanging out and joining me there. That was
No
fun.
worries, it was fun.
It's good stuff. So yeah, goodbye. See you in the next one. Hopefully with a name.
I will yep. A cool super duper name.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I catch you later, fellers.
Yeah, goodbye. This is where